What is going on, everyone? Welcome into the night everyone's been looking forward to. I think, maybe, not sure. Don't worry, Harley Dad will be here. He is just running a little late. He had some other things he had to take care of. So, uh, tonight is the night. We thought this would be Sleepy Joe falling apart on stage again, but it is not. It is the unelected, technically, you know, person that got put in because of a coup. So that's where we are. So how's everyone doing tonight as we wait? Because I'm watching it. We are going to try to actually live stream it and hopefully not get ripped down from the internet. So we will be doing that. We are I think about 23 minutes away from the start of it. Why such a odd time? I have no idea, but you know, it is what it is. I have pizza and wings sitting in the oven. I haven't touched it yet because I'm here doing this. So, what do you all think tonight? What do you think is going to happen tonight? Because I don't know if it's going to be pretty. There's been too much controversy around this whole debate after the Joe Biden debacle. Uh, we had, oh, the complaints from the Harris campaign, Trump's avoiding the debate, even though he never agreed to debate her. Then he's like, okay, we'll do this. Then she comes back. It's like, well, I don't want to do that now. Last second, like, I want to do this, change it after she tried to call him out. Like, you can't have it both ways. So at least ABC was like, screw that. No, these are the terms. You wanted it. You got it. How's everyone's Tuesday doing? By the way, remember tomorrow is a special Memorial Day for September 11th. Don't forget. Hopefully, all of you have drinks in hand because we probably will need it. And if you're lucky and I don't get too fucked up during this, we might do an after party. Oh, it's gonna be interesting. The reports. And again, when you hear reports, you always go, "The reports." Got it. The reports are, yeah, Kamala's not doing so well. She's just trying to memorize shit because she can't have her notebook in front of her. Yes, Trump. I think that's why he wanted to keep the mics muted, as agreed upon originally, because actually that helped him a lot. He took it nice on Biden. He was nice to him. He didn't like down him at all. So I think that they thought he would do that to Kamala, but now because the mics are muted still, as originally agreed upon, he's not going to have a chance. What do you mean? What's the special holiday? September 11th. Never forget. How dare you, Frank-me? How dare you forget? Oh, I like how they have Josh Shapiro on right now. He's on talking something. I don't know. I'm not listening. It's muted. After he got not picked for the VP spot. And he's up here like, oh, yeah, hey. We know why he didn't get picked. Oh, did you see any of the reports today too? Apparently, so Kamala Harris finally put out her. No, today's the 10th. It's tomorrow. Are you drunk already? Jesus Christ! I'm gonna send you the link. You can get up here and sass people or something. So Kamala Harris apparently last night, or not last night, the night before, maybe probably put out like policies on her page for the first time, and apparently like half of it is literally just copy pasted from Joe Biden's campaign, defunct campaign website or something like that. So it's like, Mm. Well, yes, I think Trump will. I think that's they've been telling him, and he thought he did good the last debate. Again, I think the muted mics did help quite a bit, so he didn't backtalk, or overstep. But that will also keep Kamala from trying to antagonize because they'll shut her off. So I think it'll help. We're going to see how this goes, obviously, because if someone's not on point with muting the mic, you never know what you're going to get. Why do I have this random fucking gray hair up here? Get down. There we go. That was annoying. I apologize for that. Oh, by iFlow, it clears clogs. Sorry, it's commercial. It's playing. But yeah, again, Harley Dad will be here shortly. Again, he had something he had to take care of, so he is coming. I already talked to him earlier. He just got delayed. Not drunk. 3 hours. That's more than enough to get hammered. What are you doing? Jesus. No, it was the hair, Mel, the white hair, the gray hair that was like sticking out. I had to like tuck it back in. It's trying to pop back out. And go fuck yourself. I don't know what you're partying to, Ty. The maybe after party if I get to eat, because again, pizza and wings are in the oven. Sam's probably going to eat them all while I'm in here on live stream with you people, and he's going to wake up from his nap, go in there and eat everything. Good job. I've been working on it for a few hours. But that's not very nice, Mel. Not everyone wants that. No, Mel. No. Even Urban Dictionary doesn't have that term. Yeah, now I'm getting hungry. I'm like, I've been smelling the pizza cook. I'm like, damn it. But this is more important. And there's the first swag drop of the night. Oh, now they're showing the hurricane that's coming. Great. Jesus. Means I'm going to be without power for another week. You just can't win sometimes. At least it will get through tonight. Well, at least have fucking a Bloody Mary with it. Jesus. I don't know if Bloody Marys go well with barbecue, but I mean, why not? That's from the Urban Dictionary. Wow, that's quite a descriptive, a descriptive explanation. Oh man, I stand corrected. Then Urban Dictionary does have power top, but you're still not power top. You're still not power top. Someone named Josh, whoever the fuck that is. Oh, get Chris Christie off the stage, or off the screen, rather. He's sitting at home, probably. Oh, replies. Oh, okay. They're replies. Okay, okay. Yeah, we thought you said you like giving it to Josh, and I was like, you're not proving your straightness, Mel. The alleged straightness. They are indeed, apparently, from actual power tops, according to Urban Dictionary. Yeah, keep it up, Mel. There might be an after party. Keep it up. No, I can't play this. No, 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 no clips. We're being professional tonight. For the moment. You're watching a live stream, Ike. It's called a live stream. It's on the internet. People post shows and then they go live and they talk live to an audience. That's this. You're welcome. I'm waiting for the fucking debate to start. Get Chris Christie off the screen. Jesus, I don't even know what he's talking about. I don't want to hear him. Guy's kind of pretty much an idiot. I that's a good question, Ike. I have no idea. You're here watching it, so that's a great question. You're here watching it because of this. This. And you're waiting on Harley Dad, so blame him. Uh-oh. Well, Mel, you might want to stick around. She's not presentable, meaning she probably doesn't have a shirt on. You might want to stick around. Do. Hold on, I gotta work magic here. I have too many tabs open. Sent. Enjoy. No, thank you, Kathy. I mean, that's it. That's why I was like, I wanted to actually start the stream. I was going to be like, welcome, fellow Americans and some foreigners. And I forgot. You always have good thoughts in your mind how to start something or whatever, and then just they're gone. Well, yeah, where the fuck else would I send it? Of course, in Discord. Unless we start an after party, there's not a linked pin or pinned link. Jesus. Okay, maybe I need to cut back on the drinks. Where is Harley to help me? Where is he? Yeah. Last one we did one, and now everyone's doing one tonight. I'm like, what the fuck, people? The fuck? You messaged me on Discord. What do you mean? I sent you a link in Discord just now, like a few minutes ago. No, I don't know what you people are talking about now. People have lost your minds. All right, 2.5 minutes until apparently until the debate starts. But then I'm probably going to be like another 5 minutes because they're going to do intros or some shit, do all their theatrics. Oh God, so let us start already. It's already going to take. Well, if you're Canadian, technically, yes. Technically, yes. I mean, yeah. Oh, Jesus Christ. Here we go. Here's the drunk one. Not Harley. Harley's not drunk yet. He'll be working on it during the debate.
Fuck. I haven't even brushed my hair.
I thought that was brushed.
Well, I guess that's good. I don't know. I can put on my hat and look like a guy. I'm okay with that.
I stopped wearing my hats, but then I cut my hair because I didn't have the mohawk anymore, so I stopped wearing the hats.
You wore a hat to cover up your mohawk?
Well, to keep it from like going all over the place while we were doing shit.
Oh, right.
Ty, you and Mel, you comment down in the chat over there. All right, you guys go get a room together.
I can't see chat, so if you're talking to me, I don't know.
No, it's Mel's like, I'm not doxing you, Josh. He's like, interesting with your comments. I'm like, you two get a room already, all right?
We should sell backstage rooms. I mean, we could make a lot of money off of that.
Backstage rooms.
I don't know. I think it could be a thing.
That's an interesting idea, actually. I wonder if someone has already done that. Like little sex porn rooms or something. But it's like, why when you can get StreamYard for free anyways yourself? Someone would buy it though and pay for that shit.
Well, I'm sure it'd be like Mel. Somebody.
The debate. 2, 1.
What is it on? It's not on yet.
Well, it's.
Oh. Countdown. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Dun dun dun.
Oh, I'm already listening to the announcers at the table.
Oh.
Because I'm on ABC.
Oh. I'm probably on Fox News. Which one should I watch?
Well, it's live on ABC, so the others are all whatever broadcast. I'm just on ABC just because it's on ABC, but it's also everything is just the every network has different delays. Like when we do this with football, it's the same shit. It's like someone's like 10 seconds ahead, so you're like, yes, and people are like, I haven't seen what happened yet.
Oh yeah, the living room is 10 seconds ahead of my bedroom. Fucking crazy.
All right, here we go.
Here it is.
Here we go. I will.
Newt, what are you doing?
Oops.
Harris and President Donald Trump are just moments away from.
There we go. Let me fix this view. I'm going to try to. Oops.
And I'm Lindsay Davis. Tonight's meeting could be the most consequential event of their campaigns. With
How do I get this to work properly? I tested this earlier, but it was only with me.
This is her first debate.
Fuck it. That's good enough. That's good enough.
On July 21st.
I was hoping to have it as a small screen kind of at the top, but I'm just going to mute this because they're just talking about nonsense right now. I'm just going to mute it.
No, I kind of like that stream. Or that where it is right now. I mean, we'll be as small as ants when Harley gets here, but
yeah, it'll probably be about the same. But yeah, earlier I tested by myself and I could put mine bigger and it a little bit smaller in the corner. I was like, okay, that's a good way to kind of hide it, but still have the audio. But I guess with more than that, more people, it doesn't work that way. At least on StreamYard, unless you have the like OBS or whatever, and I'm not dealing with that shit. Hey, Dragon. Watch out, your favorite person, Mel, is still lurking somewhere.
I'm gonna turn this on every TV.
Oh,
in
are they going
the
to shake hands? Are they going to shake hands?
Kamala Harris. Let's have a good debate.
Have fun.
Oh, they did. Oh, well, that's a.
Welcome to you both. It's wonderful to have you.
Good
It's an honor
start.
to have you both here tonight.
Good evening. We are looking forward to a spirited and thoughtful debate.
So let's
Okay,
get started.
let's see what happens.
I want to begin tonight with the issue that voters repeatedly say is their number one issue, and that is the economy and the cost of living in this country. Vice President Harris, you and President Trump were elected 4 years ago, and your opponent on the stage here tonight often asks his supporters, are you better off than you were 4 years ago? When it comes to the economy, do you believe Americans are better off than they were 4 years ago?
So I was raised as a middle class kid, and I am actually the only person on this stage who has a plan that is about lifting up the middle class and working people of America. I believe in the ambition, the aspirations, the dreams of the American people. And that is why I imagine and have actually a plan to build what I call an opportunity economy. Because here's the thing. We know that we have a shortage of homes and housing, and the cost of housing is too expensive for far too many people. We know that young families need support
Is everyone here
to
in the
raise
chat
their
okay?
children, and
Everyone
I
hear it?
intend on extending a tax cut for those families of $6,000, which is the largest child tax credit that we have given in a long time, so that those young families can afford to buy a crib, buy a car seat, buy clothes for their children. My passion, one of them, is small businesses. My mother raised my sister and me, but there was a woman who helped raise us. We call her our second mother. She was a small business owner. I love our small businesses. My plan is to give a $50,000 tax deduction to start up small businesses, knowing they are part of the backbone of America's economy. My opponent, on the other hand, his plan is to do what he has done before, which is to provide a tax cut for billionaires and big corporations, which will result in $5 trillion to America's deficit. My opponent has a plan that I call the Trump sales tax, which would be a 20% tax on everyday goods that you rely on to get through the month. Economists have said that Trump sales tax would actually result for middle-class families in about $4,000 more a year, because of his policies and his ideas about what should be the backs of middle-class people paying for tax cuts for billionaires.
President Trump, I'll give you 2 minutes.
First of all, I have no sales tax. That's an incorrect statement. She knows that. We're doing tariffs on other countries. Other countries are going to finally, after 75 years, pay us back for all that we've done for the world. And the tariff will be substantial in some cases. I took in billions and billions of dollars, as you know, from China. In fact, they never took the tariff off because there was so much money they can't. It would totally destroy everything that they've set out to do. They're taking in billions of dollars from China and other places. They've left the tariffs on. When I had it, I had tariffs, and yet I had no inflation. Look, we've had a terrible economy because inflation which is really known as a country buster. It breaks up countries. We have inflation like very few people have ever seen before, probably the worst in our nation's history. We were at 21%, but that's being generous because many things are 50, 60, 70, and 80% higher than they were just a few years ago. This has been a disaster for people, for the middle class, but for every class. On top of that, we have millions of people pouring into our country from prisons and jails, from mental institutions and insane asylums, and they're coming in and they're taking jobs that are occupied right now by African Americans and Hispanics, and also unions. Unions are going to be affected very soon. And you see what's happening. You see what's happening with towns throughout the United States. You look at Springfield, Ohio. You look at Aurora in Colorado. They are taking over the towns. They're taking over buildings. They're going in violently. These are the people that Xi and Biden led into our country, and they're destroying our country. They're dangerous. They're at the highest level of criminality, and we have to get them out. We have to get them out fast. I created one of the greatest economies in the history of our country. I'll do it again and even better.
We are going to get to immigration and border security during this debate, but I would like to let Vice President Harris respond on the economy here.
Well, I would love to. Let's talk about what Donald Trump left us. Donald Trump left us the worst unemployment since the Great Depression. Donald Trump left us the worst public health epidemic in a century. Donald Trump left us the worst attack on our democracy since the Civil War. And what we have done is clean up Donald Trump's mess. What we have done and what I intend to do is build on what we know are the aspirations and the hopes of the American people. But I'm going to tell you all in this debate tonight, you're going to hear from the same old tired playbook, a bunch of lies, grievances, and name calling. What you're going to hear tonight is a detailed and dangerous plan called Project 2025 that the former president intends on implementing if he were elected again. I believe very strongly that the American people want a president who understands the importance of bringing us together, knowing we have so much more in common than what separates us. And I pledge to you to be a president for all Americans.
President Trump will give you a minute here to respond.
Number one, I have nothing to do, as you know, and as she knows better than anyone, I have nothing to do with Project 2025. That's out there. I haven't read it. I don't want to read it purposely. I'm not going to read it. This was a group of people that got together. They came up with some ideas, I guess some good, some bad, but it makes no difference. I have nothing to do. Everybody knows I'm an open book. Everybody knows what I'm going to do. Cut taxes very substantially and create a great economy like I did before. We had the greatest economy. We got hit with a pandemic. And the pandemic was not since 1917, where 100 million people died, has there been anything like it. We did a phenomenal job with the pandemic. We handed them over a country where the economy and where the stock market was higher than it was before the pandemic came in. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. We made ventilators for the entire world. We got gowns, we got masks, we did things that nobody thought possible. And people give me credit for rebuilding the military. They give me credit for a lot of things, but not enough credit for the great job we did with the pandemic. But the only jobs they got were bounce back jobs. These were jobs bounced back, and it bounced back and it went to their benefit. But I was the one that created them. They know it, and so does everybody else.
Vice President Harris,
you can't claim job growth but bounce back.
Donald Trump has no plan for
that's not
you.
a thing.
And when you look at his economic plan, it's all about tax breaks for the richest people. I am offering what I describe as an opportunity economy, and the best economists in our country, if not the world, have reviewed our relative plans for the future of America. What Goldman Sachs has said is that Donald Trump's plan would make the economy worse. Mine would strengthen the economy. What the Wharton School has said is Donald Trump's plan would actually explode the deficit. 16 Nobel laureates have described his economic plan as something that would increase inflation and by the middle of next year would invite a recession. You just have to look at where we are and where we stand on the issues. And I'd invite you to know that Donald Trump actually has no plan for you because he is more interested in defending himself than he is in looking out for you.
It's just a soundbite. I gave her that to say. Look, I went to the Wharton School of Finance.
There's the
Many
mic
of those
crossover
professors, the top professors,
already.
think my plan is a brilliant plan. It's a great plan. It's a plan that's going to bring up our worth, our value as a country. It's going to make people want to be able to go and work and create jobs and create a lot of good, solid money for our country. And just to finish off, she doesn't have a plan. She copied Biden's plan, and it's like 4 sentences, like run, spot, run. 4 sentences that are just, oh, we'll try and lower taxes. She doesn't have a plan. Take a look at her plan. She doesn't have a plan.
Mr. President, I do want to drill down on something you both brought up. The Vice President brought up your tariffs. You responded, and let's drill down on this because your plan is what she calls is essentially a national sales tax. Your proposal calls for tariffs, as you pointed out here, on foreign imports across the board. You recently said that you might double your plan, imposing tariffs up to 20% on goods coming into this country. As you know, many economists say that with tariffs at that level, costs are then passed on to the consumer. Vice President Harris has argued it'll mean higher prices on gas, food, clothing, medication, arguing it costs the typical family nearly $4,000 a year. Do you believe Americans can afford higher prices because of tariffs?
They're not going to have higher prices. What's going to have and who's going to have higher prices is China and all of the countries that have been ripping us off for years. I was the only president ever. China was paying us hundreds of billions of dollars, and so were other countries. And, you know, if she doesn't like them, they should have gone out and they should have immediately cut the tariffs. But those tariffs are there 3.5 years now under their administration. We are going to take in billions of dollars, hundreds of billions of dollars. I had no inflation, virtually no inflation. They had the highest inflation perhaps in the history of our country, because I've never seen a worse period of time. People can't go out and buy cereal or bacon or eggs or anything else. The people of our country are absolutely dying with what they've done. They've destroyed the economy. And all you have to do is look at a poll. The polls say 80 and 85 and even 90% that the Trump economy was great, that their economy was terrible.
Vice President Harris, I do want to ask for your response. And you heard what the president said there, because the Biden administration did keep a number of the Trump tariffs in place. So how do you respond?
100% true.
Well, let's be clear that the Trump administration resulted in a trade deficit, one of the highest we've ever seen in the history of America. He invited trade wars. You want to talk about his deal with China? What he ended up doing is, under Donald Trump's presidency, he ended up selling American chips to China to help them improve and modernize their military, basically sold us out, when a policy about China should be in making sure the United States of America wins the competition for the 21st century, which means focusing on the details of what that requires, focusing on relationships with our allies, focusing on investing in American-based technology so that we win the race on AI, on quantum computing.
Did you just say
Focusing
America
on
first?
what we need to
Hold on.
do to support America's
Is that Trump
workforce,
policy?
so
Wait,
that
what?
we don't end up
Wait.
having
You stole
on the
another
short
policy.
end of the stick in terms of workers' rights. But what Donald Trump did, let's talk about this, with COVID, is he actually thanked President Xi for what he did during COVID. Look at his tweet. Thank you, President Xi, exclamation point, when we know that Xi was responsible for lacking and not giving us transparency about the origins of COVID.
President Trump, I'll let you respond.
First of all, they bought their chips from Taiwan. We hardly make chips anymore.
Trump
because
said it was the China virus. They all
philosophies like
yeah.
they have, and
So,
policies
like,
like
shut the.
they have. I don't say her because she has no policy. Everything that she believed 3 years ago and 4 years
There
ago
you
is
go.
out the window. She's going to my philosophy now. In fact, I was going to send her a MAGA hat. She's gone to my philosophy. But if she ever got elected, she'd change it. And it will be the end of our country. She's a Marxist. Everybody knows she's a Marxist. Her father's a Marxist professor in economics, and he taught her well. But when you look at what she's done to our country, and when you look at these millions and millions of people that are pouring into our country monthly, where it's, I believe, 21 million people, not the 15 that people say, and I think it's a lot higher than the 21. That's bigger than New York State pouring in. And just look at what they're doing to our country. They're criminals. Many of these people coming in are criminals. And that's bad for our economy, too. You know, you mentioned before, we'll talk about immigration later. Well, bad immigration is the worst thing that can happen to our economy. They have, and she has, destroyed our country with policy that's insane. Almost policy that you say they have to hate our country.
President Trump, thank you. Lindsay?
I want to turn to the issue of abortion. President Trump, you've often touted that you were able to kill Roe v. Wade. Last year, you said that you were proud to be the most pro-life president in American history. Then last month, you said that your administration would be great for women and their reproductive rights. In your home state of Florida, you surprised many with regard to your 6-week abortion ban, because you initially had said that it was too short. And you said, quote, I'm going to be voting that we need more than 6 weeks. But then the very next day, you reversed course and said you would vote to support the 6-week ban. Vice President Harris says that women shouldn't trust you on the issue of abortion because you've changed your position so many times. Therefore, why should they trust you?
Well, the reason I'm doing that vote is because the plan is, as you know, the vote is, they have abortion in the 9th month. They even have, and you can look at the governor of West Virginia, the previous governor of West Virginia, not the current governor, who's doing an excellent job, but the governor before, he said the baby will be born and we will decide what to do with the baby. In other words, we'll execute the baby. And that's why I did that, because that predominates, because they're radical. The Democrats are radical in that. And her vice presidential pick, which I think was a horrible pick, by the way, for our country, because he is really out of it. But her vice presidential pick says abortion in the 9th month is absolutely fine. He also says execution after birth. It's execution, no longer abortion, because the baby is born, is okay. And that's not okay with me, hence the vote. But what I did is something for 52 years. They've been trying to get Roe v. Wade into the states. And through the genius and heart and strength of 6 Supreme Court justices, we were able to do that. Now, I believe in the exceptions for rape, incest, and life of the mother. I believe strongly in it. Ronald Reagan did also. 85% of Republicans do. Exceptions. Very important. But we were able to get it, and now states are voting on it. And for the first time, you're going to see, look, this is an issue that's torn our country apart for 52 years. Every legal scholar, every Democrat, every Republican, liberal, conservative, they all wanted this issue to be brought back to the states where the people could vote. And that's what happened. And now, Ohio, the vote was somewhat liberal. Kansas, the vote was somewhat liberal, much more liberal than people would have thought. But each individual state is voting. It's the vote of the people now. It's not tied up in the federal government. I did a great service in doing it. It took courage to do it. And the Supreme Court had great courage in doing it. And I give tremendous credit to those 6 justices.
There is no state in this country where it is legal to kill a baby after it's born. Madam Vice President, I want to get your response to President Trump.
Well, as I said, you're going to hear a bunch of lies, and that's not actually a surprising fact. Let's understand how we got here. Donald Trump hand-selected 3 members of the United States Supreme Court with the intention that they would undo the protections of Roe v. Wade. And they did exactly as he intended. And now in over 20 states, there are Trump abortion bans, which make it criminal for a doctor or nurse to provide health care. In one state, it provides prison for life. Trump abortion bans that make no exception even for rape and incest, which understand what that means. A survivor of a crime of violation to their body does not have the right to make a decision about what happens to their body next. That is immoral. And one does not have to abandon their faith or deeply held beliefs to agree. The government, and Donald Trump certainly, should not be telling a woman what to do with her body. I have talked with women around our country. You want to talk about this is what people wanted? Pregnant women who want to carry a pregnancy to term, suffering from a miscarriage, being denied care in an emergency room because the healthcare providers are afraid they might go to jail, and she's bleeding out in a car in the parking lot. She didn't want that. Her husband didn't want that. A 12 or 13-year-old survivor of incest being forced to carry a pregnancy to term. They don't want that. And I pledge to you, when Congress passes a bill to put back in place the protections of Roe v. Wade, as President of the United States, I will proudly sign it into law. But understand, if Donald Trump were to be reelected, he will sign a national abortion ban. Understand, in his Project 2025, there would be a national abortion, a monitor that would be monitoring your pregnancies, your miscarriages. I think the American people believe that certain freedoms, in particular the freedom to make decisions about one's own body, should not be made by the government.
Thank you, Vice President Harris.
Well, there she goes again. It's a lie. I'm not signing a ban. And
I have to pause too. She just said she doesn't want things to be decided by the government, but she doesn't want the states to have the rights to do it. She wants the government to have the rights to say what can be done.
That's what she said.
So she literally just contradicted herself completely, if anyone's actually paying attention to what the fuck she just said. I have a feeling she's coming into word salad mode here in a few minutes now.
there's no reason to sign a ban because we've gotten what everybody wanted. Democrats, Republicans, and everybody else, and every legal scholar wanted it to be brought back into the states. And the states are voting. And it may take a little time, but for 52 years, this issue has torn our country apart. And they've wanted it back in the states. And I did something that nobody thought was possible. The states are now voting. What she says is an absolute lie. And as far as the abortion ban, no, I'm not in favor of abortion ban, but it doesn't matter because this issue has now been taken over by the states.
Would you veto a national abortion ban if it came
Well, I
to your
won't
desk?
have to because, again, two things. Number one, she said she'll go back to Congress. She'll never get the vote. It's impossible for her to get the vote, especially now with the 50-50, essentially 50-50 in both Senate and the House. She's not going to get the vote. She can't get the vote. She won't even come close to it. So it's just talk. You know what it reminds me of? When they said they're going to get student loans terminated, and it ended up being a total catastrophe. The student loans, and then I think probably her boss, if you call him a boss, he spends all his time on the beach. But look, her boss went out and said, we'll do it again. We'll do it a different way. And he went out, got rejected again by the Supreme Court. So all these students got taunted with this whole thing about this whole idea. And how unfair that would have been, part of the reason they lost, to the millions and millions of people that had to pay off their student loans. They didn't get it for free. But they were saying it's the same way that they talked about that they talk about abortion.
But if I could just get a yes or no, because your running mate, J.D. Vance, has said that you would veto it if it did come to your desk.
Well, I didn't discuss it with J.D. In all fairness, J.D. And I don't mind if he has a certain view, but I think he was speaking for me, but I really didn't. Look, we don't have to discuss it because she'd never be able to get it, just like she couldn't get student loans. They couldn't get student loans. They didn't even come close to getting student loans. They taunted young people and a lot of other people that had loans. They can never get this approved. So it doesn't matter what she says about going to Congress. So wonderful. Let's go to Congress, do it. But the fact is that for years, they wanted to get it out of Congress and out of the federal government. And we did something that everybody said couldn't be done. And now you have a vote of the people on abortion.
Vice President Harris, I want to give you your time to respond, but I do want to ask, would you support any restrictions on a woman's right to an abortion?
I absolutely support reinstating the protections of Roe v. Wade. And as you rightly mentioned, nowhere in America is a woman carrying a pregnancy to term and asking for an abortion. That is not happening. It's insulting to the women of America. And understand what has been happening under Donald Trump's abortion bans. Couples who pray and dream of having a family are being denied IVF treatments. What is happening in our country? Working people, working women who are working 1 or 2 jobs, who can barely afford childcare as it is, have to travel to another state to get on a plane sitting next to strangers to go and get the health care she needs.
Oh my God, you have to sit on a plane
Barely
next
can
to
afford to
strangers?
do it, and
Oh
what
my
you are
God,
putting her through
shocking.
is unconscionable. And the people of America have not, the majority of Americans believe in a woman's right to make decisions about her own body. And that is why in every state where this issue has been on the ballot, in red and blue states both, the people of America have voted for freedom.
Vice President Harris,
Excuse me, I
thank
have
you.
to respond. Another lie. It's another lie. I have been a leader on IVF, which is fertilization. The IVF, I have been a leader. In fact, when they got a very negative decision on IVF from the Alabama courts, I saw the people of Alabama and the legislature 2 days later voted it in. I've been a leader on it. They know that, and everybody else knows it. I have been a leader on fertilization, IVF. And the other thing, you should ask, will she allow abortion in the 8th month, 9th month, 7th month?
Come on.
Okay, would you do that? Why don't you ask her that question?
Why don't you answer the question? Would you
because
veto?
under Roe v.
Answer
Wade,
the question, would you veto?
you could do abortions in the 7th month, the 8th month, the 9th
That's
month,
not true.
and probably after birth. Just look at the former governor of Virginia. The governor of Virginia said, we put the baby aside and then we determine what we want to do with the baby.
President Trump, thank you.
We're going to turn now to immigration and border security. We know it's an issue that's important to
The announcers
Republicans,
are very
Democrats, voters
distinct,
across
at least.
the
He's
board
like,
in this country.
All right, we're moving to
Vice
this
President
topic now.
Harris, you were tasked by President Biden with getting to the root causes of migration from
Borders
Central
are.
America.
Borders are.
We know that illegal border crossings reached a record high in the Biden administration. This past June, President Biden imposed tough new asylum restrictions. We know the numbers since then have dropped significantly. But my question to you tonight is, why did the administration wait until 6 months before the election to act? And would you have done anything differently from President Biden on this?
So I'm the only person on this stage who has prosecuted transnational criminal organizations for the trafficking of guns, drugs, and human beings. And let me say that the United States Congress, including some of the most conservative members of the United States Senate, came up with a border security bill, which I supported. And that bill would have put 1,500 more border agents on the border to help those folks who are working there right now overtime, trying to do their job. It would have allowed us to stem the flow of fentanyl coming into the United States. I know there are so many families watching tonight who have been personally affected by the surge of fentanyl in our country. That bill would have put more resources to allow us to prosecute transnational criminal organizations for trafficking.
That bill also contained like 40 billion for Ukraine and like 100 other pages of fucking garbage. So shut the fuck up.
And guns, drugs, and human beings. But you know what happened?
No,
that
look at
bill?
this douchebag.
Donald Trump got on the phone,
Where?
called up some
Yeah,
folks
now
in
you're my
Congress
bottom,
and
bitch.
said, kill the bill. And you know why? Because
Yeah,
he
you know,
preferred
all
to
you
run on
thinking
a
in between
problem
us. There you go.
instead of fixing a problem. And understand, this comes at a time where the people of our country actually need a leader who engages in solutions, who actually addresses the problems at hand. But what we have in the
One that
former
gets put in
president,
charge of the
someone
border
who
doesn't go to
prefer
visit it?
run on a problem instead of fixing a
Oh,
problem.
yeah,
And I'll
no.
tell you something, he's going to talk.
It's so far. It's just I'm going to do everything Trump's going to do, but I'm not Trump, so you're good
Yeah.
to go. Pretty much. That literally, you missed the zinger though. I have to recap real quick. You missed the zinger where even Trump said you flip flop so much. I was about to send you a MAGA hat.
Yeah. I've been listening the whole time. I just wasn't
Okay.
able to come up till now.
Okay.
But
About immigration a lot tonight, even when it's not the subject that is being raised. And I'm going to actually do something really unusual, and I'm going to invite you to attend one of Donald Trump's rallies because it's a really interesting thing to watch. You will see during the course of his rallies, he talks about fictional characters like Hannibal Lecter. He will talk about windmills cause cancer. And what you will also notice is that people start leaving his rallies early.
that's an
out of
interesting
exhaustion
strategy.
and
Y'all go see him.
And I will tell
Go
you, the
see him
one thing
live.
You will not hear him talk
Like,
about
that
is
could turn out bad for
You
you.
will not hear him talk about your
I
needs,
like
your
how she
dreams,
talks
and
about
your,
people leaving
and
early,
your
but apparently,
desires.
I've
And I'll
seen
tell you, I
many
believe you
videos of her after
deserve
rappers
a
leave.
president who actually
You know,
puts you first. And I
celebrities
pledge
leave or
to you that
whatever.
I will.
Vice President Harris, thank you. President
Who'd you
Trump, on
kid
that
said
point, I wanted
you
to hear
deserve a
some
president that
of
will
your
actually
response
put
to
you
the president.
first?
Why
And I
did
will.
you
Ain't no
try to
fucking
kill that
president
bill
put the
and
American
successfully
people fucking
so that would have
first.
put thousands
None
of
of them
additional
will.
agents and
But
officers
some
on
will do a lot
First
better than others.
responders to the
Please.
rallies. She said people start leaving. People don't go to her rallies. There's no reason to go. And the people that do go, she's bussing them in and paying them to be there. And then showing them in a different
Shit, how do
light.
I get that
So
paycheck?
she can't talk about that. People don't leave my
I don't
rallies.
get offered
We
that
have the
shit.
biggest
I'll
rallies.
go to a Kamala rally if I get
rallies in the
paid.
history of
I might
politics.
just show up and
That's
try to
because
sneak out
people
like
want to
halfway
take
through.
their
Like,
country back.
hello.
Our country is being lost. We're a failing nation. And it happened 3.5 years ago. And what's going on here, you're going to end up in World War III, just to go into another subject. What they have done to our country by allowing these millions and millions of people to come into our country, and look at what's happening to the towns all over the United States. And a lot of towns don't want to talk. It's not going to be Aurora or Springfield. A lot of towns don't want to talk about it because they're so embarrassed by it. In Springfield, they're eating the dogs. The people
There
that
we
came
go.
in,
There it
they're
is.
eating the cats.
There it is.
They're eating the pets of the people that live there. And this is what's happening in our country. And it's a shame. As far as rallies are concerned, as far as the reason they go is they like what I say. They want to bring our country back. They want to make America great again. It's a very simple phrase, make America great again. She's destroying this country. And if she becomes president, this country doesn't have a chance of success. Not only success, we'll end up being Venezuela on steroids.
I just want to clarify here. You bring
Ain't
up
gonna lie.
Springfield,
I was very
Ohio,
surprised that he
and
didn't giggle when he
ABC
said
did
eating
reach
the
out to
cats,
city
but-
manager there. He told us there had been no credible reports of specific claims of
I
pets
like-
being harmed, injured, or abused.
I have to pause it. I like the one meme. I do like the one meme where it's the cat. Like, I'd rather be grabbed by Trump.
So I've noticed, and like I said, I was listening, but interacting with the kids and stuff. So this is the second time that he said something. They immediately stop and bring up stuff, but I haven't heard them do that for her. Have they done that for her yet? When she says
No.
something, do they
No,
fact check the
no.
incident? Oh, weird.
Oh, no. They. I mean, they've been pretty decent so far, but they haven't really pressed on her. They pressed on him in certain things, but they haven't pressed on her. And he's tried to say, "Why don't you ask her this?" And you know, it's ignored. So, but so far, not terrible.
They're not terrible. Yeah.
So far.
Used by individuals within the immigrant community.
Well,
All
I've
this.
seen people on television.
Let me just say here, this is
The people on
this is
television
a
say
clar-
my dog was taken, and used for food. So maybe he said that, and maybe that's a good
Yeah.
thing to say for a city manager.
I'm not taking this from
But the
television.
people are
I'm
on
taking it from
television
the city
saying their
manager.
dog was eaten by the people that went there.
Oh, wait,
Again,
I'm not
it's
taking this from
city managers,
television. I'm
there's
taking this
no
from the
evidence.
city
We have
manager.
Vice
So you're not
President
taking it
Harris.
from the
Let me
people
respond
that
to
are
what you
may or may not be experiencing
Talk
this.
about extreme.
That's fucking. I
Um,
don't know.
You know, this is, I think, one of the reasons why in this election, I actually have the endorsement of 200 Republicans who have formerly worked with President Bush, Mitt Romney, and John McCain, including the endorsement of former Vice President Dick Cheney and Congress member Liz Cheney. And if you want to really know the inside track on who the former president is, if he didn't make it clear already, just ask people who have worked with him. His former chief of staff, a 4-star general, has said he has contempt for the Constitution of the United States. His former national security advisor has said he is dangerous and unfit. His former secretary of defense has said the nation, the republic, would never survive another Trump term. And when we listen to this kind of rhetoric, when the issues that affect the American people are not being addressed, I think the choice is clear in this election.
President Trump, I'll give you a quick minute to respond.
Yeah.
Isn't that part of the American issue is the whole immigration thing? So I like how she bypasses the potential issue completely when she's supposed to be the border czar
Yeah.
and totally
Hasn't
failed
done
at it.
anything
You
down
know?
there,
Yeah.
And again, going back to the bill she was talking about,
Because
yeah,
when I
there
hear
was so
that,
much other shit in
I'm a
there,
different
which is what
kind-
they do with all bills, and it's fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, it was
But,
like
you know,
it was like
if it's
150
a bit,
pages, and like I
Yeah.
think they said literally only 20% of that whole thing was about immigration.
and that's what's stupid. If it's a bill for the border, it should be about nothing but the border.
Yeah,
If it's a bill
it
for
wasn't-
healthcare, it should be about nothing but healthcare. You know,
Yeah, it's so diluted that they call it the border bill, but it really is not
Yeah.
about the border. It's like
kind of a person. I fired most of those people. Not so graciously. They did bad things or a bad job. I fired them. They never fired one person. They didn't fire anybody having to do with Afghanistan and the Taliban and the 13 people who's were just killed, viciously and violently killed. And I got to know the parents and the family. They didn't fire. They should have fired all those generals, all those top people, because that was one of the most incompetently handled situations anybody has ever seen. So
Yep.
when somebody does a bad job, I fire him. And you take a guy like Esper, he was no good, I fired him. So he writes a book. Another one writes a book, because with me, they can write books. With nobody else can they? But they have done such a poor job, and they never fire anybody. Look at the economy. Look at the inflation. They didn't fire any of their economists. They have the same people. That's a good way not to have books written about you. But just to finish, I got more votes than any Republican in history by far. In fact, I got more votes than any sitting president in history by far.
Let me continue on immigration. It was what you wanted to talk about earlier. So let's get back to your deportation proposal that the vice president has reacted to as well. President Trump, you call this the largest domestic deportation operation in the history of our country. You say you would use the National Guard. You say if things get out of control, you'd have no problem using the U.S.
With local
military.
police, yes.
You also said you would use local police. How would you deport 11 million undocumented immigrants? I know you believe that number is much higher. Take us through this. What does this look like? Will authorities be going door to door in this country?
Yeah, it is much higher because of them. They allowed criminals, many millions of criminals. They allowed terrorists. They allowed common street criminals. They allowed people to come in, drug dealers, to come into our country. And they're now in the United States and told by their countries like Venezuela, don't ever come back or we're going to kill you. Do you know that crime in Venezuela and crime in countries all over the world is way down? You know why? Because they've taken their criminals off the street and they've given them to her to put into our country. And this will be one of the greatest mistakes in history for them to allow. And I think they probably did it because they think they're going to get votes, but it's not worth it because they're destroying the fabric of our country by what they've done. There's never been anything done like this at all. They've destroyed the fabric of our country. Millions of people let in, and all over the world, crime is down all over the world except here. Crime here is up and through the roof. Despite their fraudulent statements that they made, crime in this country is through the roof. And we have a new form of crime. It's called migrant crime. And it's happening at levels that nobody thought possible.
President Trump, as you know, the FBI says overall violent crime is actually coming down in this country. But Vice
Excuse me,
President
the
Harris, I'll
FBI
give you
defrauded. They were defrauding statements.
Coming down
didn't
since
include the
when?
worst cities. They didn't
Yeah.
include the cities with the worst crime.
Well, and that's because it
was
actually
a
it did go
fraud.
up during
Just
COVID
like
because
their
everybody's
number of
fucking bored. So
818,000
Well, that's what I mean. It's like
jobs
the
that
coming
they said
down
they
since
created
when, so
turned
it's
out to
still
be a
higher
fraud.
than it was
President Trump, thank you. I'll
beforehand.
let
So
you
I mean, the
respond,
point
Vice
is
President
Well, I
it's not an
think this is so
inaccurate
rich.
statement.
Coming from someone who has been prosecuted for
I was wondering when that would come out.
national security crimes, economic crimes, election interference, has been found liable for sexual assault, and his next big
Oh, I
court
hope he
appearance
brings up
is
the
in
whole her
November
getting
at his own
shagged by
criminal
the other senator
sentencing.
to get her
And
position,
let's be
original
clear
position.
where each person stands on the issue of what is important about respect for the rule of law and respect for law enforcement. The former vice president called for defunding federal law enforcement, 45,000 agents, get this, on the day after he was arraigned on 34 felony counts. So let's talk about what is important in this race. It is important that we move forward, that we turn the page on this same old tired rhetoric and address the needs of the American people.
That's from-
address
never
what
mind,
we
Ty.
need to do about the housing
She's
shortage,
shaking her brain
which I
cells
have a
around,
plan for.
activating.
Address what we must do
Aren't we
to support
supposed to
our
be
small
addressing
businesses.
immigration?
Address bringing down the price of groceries.
Yeah,
But frankly, the American
this
people
is
are
political.
exhausted
This
with
is
the
just the
same old
political
tired playbook.
nonsense of
Vice
just
President
we
Harris,
take it
thank
to a
you.
whole different
Excuse me. Every one of those
topic,
cases
basically,
was
when we
started
don't
by
want to
them
answer
against their political
anything.
opponent. And I'm winning most of them, and I will win the rest on appeal. And you saw that with the decision that came down just recently from the Supreme Court. I'm winning most of them. But those are cases, it's called weaponization. Never happened in this country. They weaponized the Justice Department. Every one of those cases was involved with the DOJ, from Atlanta and Fani Willis to the Attorney General of New York and the DA in New York.
Oh, he actually
Every
called her
one of those
Fawny. He didn't
cases.
say Fanny.
And then they say, oh, he's a criminal.
Well, they can't
They're
say,
the
"Oh, he
ones
was
that
disrespectful."
made
He actually
them
said it.
go after me. By the way,
Over.
Joe Biden was found essentially guilty on the documents case. And what happened in my documents case? They said, oh, that's the toughest of them all. A complete and total victory. 2 months ago, it was thrown out. It's weaponization, and they used it, and it's never happened in this country. They used it to try and win an election.
President
They're
Trump.
fake cases.
President Trump, thank you. A really quick response here, Vice President Harris, on this notion of weaponization of the Justice Department.
Well, let's talk about extreme and understand the context in which this election in 2024 is taking place. The United States Supreme Court recently ruled that the former president would essentially be immune from any misconduct if he were to enter the White House again. Understand, this is someone who has openly said he would terminate, I'm quoting, terminate the Constitution of the United States, that he would weaponize the Department of Justice against his political enemies. Someone who has openly expressed disdain for members of our military. Understand what it would mean if Donald Trump were back in the White House with no guardrails, because certainly we know now the court won't stop him. We know J.D. Vance is not going to stop him. It's up to the American people.
Vice President
stop
Harris,
him.
thank you.
I do like the there's a couple of good quotes there that she did make. Good as in jokes. Imagine that he was off the rails. Like, well, he didn't prosecute Hillary Clinton, which was probably a slam dunk. Didn't do it. She's probably taking the terminate the Constitution out of context.
That's what I was gonna say.
100%
She started off by saying you have to understand the context. And she says a bunch of quotes.
Yeah,
that take
I'm
that
100% sure. Yeah, and just out of context nonsense, basically. Kind of like they did to J.D. Vance about the shootings in Georgia, where they all took it like, well, it's just part of life. That's not what he said. You know, it's like that's not what he said. They just
Lindsay?
Vice President Harris, in your last run for president,
We got to
This is the
continue
one
here.
that weaponized, not me. She weaponized. I probably took a bullet to the head because of the things that they say about me. They talk about democracy. I'm a
true.
threat to democracy. They're the threat to democracy with a
President
fake
Trump.
Russia
We
investigation
do have a lot to
that
get.
went nowhere.
We have a lot to get to. Lindsay?
Vice President Harris, in your last run for president, you said you wanted to ban fracking. Now you don't. You wanted mandatory government buyback programs for assault weapons. Now your campaign says you
Assault
don't.
weapons,
You supported
Jesus.
decriminalizing border crossings. Now you're taking a harder line. I know you say that your values have not changed. So then why have so many of your policy positions
Okay, that's a good
changed?
question.
So
It's reasonable.
My values have not changed, and I'm going to discuss every one of the, at least every point that you've made. But in particular, let's talk about fracking because we're here in Pennsylvania. I made that very clear in 2020. I will not ban fracking. I have not banned fracking as Vice President of the United States. And in fact, I was
haven't
the
done anything.
tie-breaking
You haven't done
vote
shit
on
as
the
Vice
Inflation
President.
Reduction Act,
As far as
which
I'm aware.
opened new leases for fracking. My position is that we have got to invest in diverse sources of energy so we reduce our reliance on foreign oil. We have had the largest increase in domestic oil production
Oh, I
in
can't even with these people.
because of an approach that recognizes
The people that
we
actually
cannot
believe this
over-rely
after
on
everything
foreign
she
oil.
said, and literally
As
today
it
they,
relates to my
they
values,
pointed
let me
out
tell
she
you, I grew
Can-
up
doesn't
a
can you
believe
pause it real
middle-class
quick?
kid raised by
Yeah.
a hardworking mother.
For the record, those that don't know, we were completely non-dependent on oil or on foreign oil when Trump was president.
Yeah, and then Trump, and then Biden drained it all, and then they
And
refused
came in and
to
shut down the
refill it.
pipelines, and yep.
And then now she's like, "Well, we need to be energy independent." Yeah,
Well, we were.
all of her policies are literally Trump's. She's just stealing them. That's all she's doing. Brilliant playbook, though, I will say, in a way. But people are stupid. So yeah, brilliant. Yeah.
Who worked and saved and was able to buy our first home when I was a teenager. The values I bring to the importance of home ownership, knowing not everybody got handed $400 million on a silver platter and then filed bankruptcy 6 times, is a value that I bring to my work to say we are going to work with the private sector and home builders to increase 3 million homes.
This bitch lived
increase
in a
by 3
comfy
million homes
household
by
in
the end of my
Canada.
first term. My work that is related to having a friend when I was in high school who was sexually assaulted by her stepfather. And my focus then on protecting women and children
what is
from
it?
violent crime is
Fracking.
based on a value that is deeply grounded in the importance
this have
of
to do with
standing
fracking?
up for those who are most vulnerable. My work that is
Fracking,
about
woman, not
protecting
fucking.
Social Security and
Fracking.
Medicare is based on long-standing work that I have done.
A different type of
protecting
oil
seniors from
involved in that.
scammers. My values
Lubricant.
have not
Lubricant. It's
changed.
important.
And what
It's
is
important,
important
people.
is that there is a president who actually brings values and a perspective that is about lifting people up and not beating people down and name
I
calling.
was gonna say
The
off.
true measure of the leader.
I don't know where
Is
this
the
is. This has gone
leader who
off the
actually
rails so
understands
much.
The strength is
No
not in
one's
beating
talking
people
about
down, it's
anything.
in lifting people
No.
up. I intend to be that president.
President
Like,
Trump,
so
you
that's
were
what I
first
have
of
to
all-
say about
Given
fracking.
$400 million. I wish I was. My father was a
Exactly.
Brooklyn builder, Brooklyn, Queens, and a
She
great
said
father,
no.
and I learned a lot from
And
him.
then
but
went
I was
into
given a fraction of that
word
tiny
salad
fraction,
bullshit
and
about
I
her
built
life.
it into many,
This is what
many
she. No,
billions
this is
of
what she.
dollars, many,
This
many
is what she
billions.
does, though.
And
If people don't listen to her, when she has nothing important to say, she just talks about her life.
Yeah.
Or
And
word
her
salad, where
experience,
she
yep,
repeats
yep.
the same word like 4 times in a sentence. That's what she does because she has no comment on it. That
Well,
is exactly what she does.
It's always funny to me too when people bring up, well, you know, not all of us are served $400 million on a silver platter. It's like his dad was successful and game. Like, who the fuck cares how he got the money? His dad was
And he's successful too. And guess what? Everyone goes through bankruptcies if
Oh.
you invest in businesses.
Look at how
Jesus
many
Christ.
companies file for bankruptcy all the fucking time.
I'm sorry. She was born in California to professors. They went to Canada. They have a cushy life. She comes back, sleeps with someone, gets a position, and fails upwards.
Allegedly.
Basically, that's all she. Allegedly, no. He even said she did it on tape.
I know.
All right. Anyways, yeah. Word salad here. Nonsense. Let's
When
carry
people
on.
see it, they are even surprised. So we don't have to talk about that. Fracking, she's been against it for 12 years. defund the police. She's been against that forever. She gave all
But
that
against
stuff
defunding
up
the police.
very wrongly, very horribly, and everybody's laughing at it, okay? They're all laughing at it. She gave up at least 12 and probably 14 or 15 different policies. Like, she was big on defund the police. In Minnesota, she went out, wait a minute, I'm talking now. You don't mind, please.
There's the strong moment.
That sounds
She
familiar.
wanted the strong moment. He got it.
She went out in Minnesota and wanted to let criminals that killed people, that burned down Minneapolis, she went out and raised money to get them out of
She
jail.
didn't promote that
She
site.
did things that nobody would ever think of. Now she wants to do transgender operations on illegal aliens that are in prison. This is a
True.
radical
That is
left
true.
liberal that would do this. She wants to confiscate you.
I have to posit that is true. They're actually CNN reported that actually today, saying in 2019 she verbally and written to the ACLU said, I want to use taxpayer funds to provide sex change operations to detained migrants.
Fucking crazy.
So she did it twice. She did a written statement and a verbal statement when asked about it. So that is actually true. And that was by CNN of all people. So that is actually apparently true if CNN even reported on it.
Guns, and she will never allow fracking in Pennsylvania. If she won the election, fracking in Pennsylvania will end on day one. Just to finish one thing so important in my opinion. So I got the oil business going like nobody has ever done before. When they took
That's true.
over, they got rid of it, started getting rid of it, and the prices were going up the roof. They immediately let these guys go to where they were. I would have been 5 times, 4 times, 5 times higher because you're talking about 3.5 years ago. They got it up to where I was because they had no choice, because the prices of energy were quadrupling and doubling. You saw what happened to gasoline. So they said, let's go back to Trump. But if she won the election, the day after that election, they'll go back to destroying our country, and oil will be dead. Fossil fuel will be dead. We'll go back to windmills, and we'll go back to solar, where they need a whole desert to get some energy to come out of. You ever see a solar plant? By the way, I'm a big fan of solar, but they take 400,
President
500 acres of desert
President
soil.
Trump, we have a
These
lot
are
of
not good
issues
things
that
for
we
the
have to get
environment,
to.
as
We're
she
out of time.
understands.
Thank you.
Lindsay, thank you. We have an election in just 56 days. And I want to talk about the peaceful transfer of power, which, of course, we all know is a cornerstone of our democracy, and the role of a president in a moment of crisis. Mr. President, on January 6th, you told your supporters to march to the Capitol. You said you would be right there with them. The country and the world saw what played out at the Capitol that day. The officers were under attack. Aides in the West Wing say you watched it unfold on television off the Oval Office. You did send out tweets, but it was more than 2 hours before you sent out that video message telling your supporters to go home. Is there anything you regret about what you did on that day?
You just said a thing that isn't covered. Peacefully and patriotically, I said during my speech, not later on. Peacefully and patriotically. And nobody on the other side was killed. Ashley Babbitt was shot by an out-of-control police officer that should have never, ever shot her. It's a disgrace. But we didn't do this group of people that have been treated so badly. I ask, what about all the people that are pouring into our country and killing people that she allowed to pour in? She was the border czar. Remember that. She was the border czar. She doesn't want to be called the border czar because she's embarrassed by the border. In fact, she said at the beginning, oh, I'm surprised you're not talking about the border yet. That's because she knows what a bad job they've done. What about those people? When are they going to be prosecuted? When are these people from countries all over the world, not just South America? They're coming in from all over the world, David, all over the world, and crime rates are down all over the world because of it.
But let me just
when
ask
are
you-
those, David, when are those people going to be prosecuted? When are the people that burned down Minneapolis going to be prosecuted? Or in Seattle, they went into Seattle, they took over a big
Portland.
percentage of the city of Seattle. When are those people going to be prosecuted?
But let me just ask
You might ask her that question.
You were the president. You were watching it unfold on television. It's a very simple question as we move forward toward another election. Is there anything you regret about what you did on that day? Yes or no?
I had nothing to do with that other than they asked me to make a speech. I showed up for a speech. I said, I think it's going to be big. I went to Nancy Pelosi and the mayor of Washington, D.C., And the mayor put it back in writing, as you know. I said, this is going to be a very big rally or whatever you want to call it. And again, it wasn't done by me. It was done by others. I said, I'd like to give you 10,000 National Guard or soldiers. They rejected me. Nancy Pelosi rejected me. It was just 2 weeks ago. Her daughter has a tape of her saying she is fully responsible for what happened. They want to get rid of that tape. It would have never happened if Nancy Pelosi and the mayor of Washington did their jobs. I wasn't responsible for security. Nancy Pelosi was responsible. She didn't do her job.
The question was about you as president, not about former Speaker Pelosi, but I do want Vice President Harris to respond here.
I was at the Capitol on January 6th. I was the vice president-elect. I was also an acting senator. I was there. And on that day, the president of the United States incited a violent mob to attack our nation's capital, to desecrate our nation's capital. On that day, 140 law enforcement officers were injured, and some died. And understand, the former president has been indicted and impeached for exactly that reason. But this is not an isolated situation. Let's remember Charlottesville, where there was a mob of people carrying tiki torches, spewing anti-Semitic hate. And what did the president then at the time say? There were fine people on each side. Let's remember that when it came to the Proud Boys and our militia,
so stupid.
the president said, the former president said, stand back and stand by. So for everyone watching who remembers what January 6th was, I say, we don't have to go back. Let's not go back. We're not going back. It's time to turn the page. And if that was a bridge too far for you, well, there is a place in our campaign for you to stand for country, to stand for our democracy, to
Doesn't make any
stand
sense
for
to me when
rule
somebody
of law,
says
and to
peacefully
end
and
the
patriotically
chaos,
shit gets out of hand. Why would
and
they
to
be responsible
end
for that?
the
They literally
approach
said it
that is
live,
about
peacefully.
attacking the foundations
Whatever.
of our
Oh
democracy.
wait, that's right.
Because
All
you
the
don't
Portland
like the
protesters, that was
outcome.
peaceful
And be
protesting.
clear, on that point, Donald Trump, the candidate, has said in this election there will be a bloodbath if this and the outcome of this election is not to his liking.
Again,
Let's
out of
turn the
context.
page on this. Let's not go back. Let's chart a course for the future and not go
Yeah.
backwards to the past.
So a
Let me
repeat,
just follow up
repeat of the
here.
Biden administration?
It was a different term, and it was a term that related to energy because they have destroyed our energy business. That was where bloodbath was. Also, on Charlottesville, that story has been, as you would say, debunked. Laura Ingraham, Sean Hannity, Jesse, all of these people, they covered it. If they go an extra sentence, they will see it was perfect. It was debunked in almost every newspaper, but they still bring it up, just like they bring 2025 up. They bring all of this stuff up. I ask you this, you talk about the Capitol. Why are we allowing these millions of people to come through on the southern border? How come she's not doing anything? And I'll tell you what I would do, and I would be very proud to do it. I would say we would both leave this debate right now. I'd like to see her go down to Washington, D.C. during this debate because we're wasting a lot of time. Go down to, because she's been so bad, it's so ridiculous. Go down to Washington, D.C. and let her sign a bill to close up the border because they have the right to do it. They don't need bills. They have the right to do it. The president of the United States, you'll get him out of bed. You'll wake him up at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. You'll say, come on down to the office. Let's sign a bill. If he signs a bill that the border is closed, all he has to do is say it to the Border Patrol, who are phenomenal. If they do that, the border is closed.
Mr.
Those
President,
people are killing many people, unlike J6.
We talked immigration here tonight. I do want to focus on this next issue to both of you because it really brings us this into focus, truth in these times that we're living in. Mr. President, for 3.5 years after you lost the 2020 election, you repeatedly falsely claimed that you won, many times saying you won in a landslide. In the past couple of weeks leading up to this debate, you have said, quote, you lost by a whisker, that you, quote, didn't quite make it, that you came up a little bit short.
I said that?
Are you now acknowledging that you lost in 2020?
No, I don't acknowledge that at all.
But
I
you
said
did
that
say
sarcastically.
But
You know that. It was said, oh, we lost by a whisker. That was said sarcastically. Look, There's so much proof. All you have to do is look at it. And they should have sent it back to the legislatures for approval. I got almost 75 million votes, the most votes any sitting president has ever gotten. I was told if I got 63, which was what I got in 2016, you can't be beaten. The election, people should never be thinking about an election as fraudulent. We need two things. We need walls. And we have to have it. We have to have borders, and we have to have good elections. Our elections are bad. And a lot of these illegal immigrants coming in, they're trying to get them to vote. They can't even speak English. They don't even know what country they're in practically. And these people are trying to get them to vote. And that's why they're allowing them to come into our country.
I did watch all of these pieces of video. I didn't detect the sarcasm, lost by a whisker. We didn't quite make it. And we should just point out here as clarification, and you know this, you and your allies, 60 cases in front of many judges, many of them
No
Republican.
judge looked at it.
And said
They said we didn't have standing. That's the other thing. They said we didn't have standing, a technicality. Can you imagine a system where a person in an election doesn't have standing? The president of the United States doesn't have standing. That's how we lost. If you look at the facts, and I'd love to have you'll do a special on it. I'll show you Georgia, and I'll show you Wisconsin, and I'll show you Pennsylvania, and I'll show you. We have so many facts and statistics, but you know what? That doesn't matter, because we have to solve the problem that we have right now. That's old news. And the problem that we have right now is we have a nation in decline, and they have put it into decline. We have a nation that is dying, David.
Mr. President, thank you. Vice President Harris, you heard the president there tonight. He said he didn't say that he lost by whisker. So he still believes he did.
I mean, really,
Just call the president.
all Trump has to do is continue to just say, like, in 3.5 years, they've done nothing and it's gotten worse. That's all he has to continue to say, because it has. I mean, in reality. That's all
Well,
he
if
has
you
to say.
notice, the guy just called him president. He didn't say, former president. It's like, anyway.
Slip up.
Did not lose the election that was won by President Biden and yourself. But I do want to ask you about something that's come up in the last couple of days. This was a post from President Trump about this upcoming election just weeks away. He said, when I win, those people who cheated, and then he lists donors, voters, election officials, he says will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law, which will include long-term prison sentences. One of your campaign's top lawyers responded saying, we won't let Donald Trump intimidate us. We won't let him suppress the vote. Is that what you believe he's trying to do here?
Donald Trump was fired by 81 million people. So let's be clear about that. And clearly he is having a very difficult time processing that. But we cannot afford to have a president of the United States who attempts, as he did in the past, to upend the will of the voters in a free and fair election. And I'm going to tell you that I have traveled the world as vice president of the United States.
Sadly.
And world leaders are
Sadly.
laughing at Donald Trump. I have talked with military leaders, some of whom worked with you, and they say you're a disgrace. And when you then talk in this way in a presidential debate and deny what over and over again are court cases you have lost because you did in fact lose that election, it leads one to believe that perhaps we do not have in the candidate to my right the temperament or the ability to not be confused.
Oh, she's
about
bringing up
fact.
Hillary
That's
Clinton.
deeply
words,
troubling, and the
temperament.
American people deserve better.
I'll give you 1 minute to respond, Mr.
More
President.
Let me
coffee.
just say about world leaders. Viktor Orban, one of the most respected men. They call him a strong man. He's a tough person, smart. Prime Minister of Hungary. They said, why is the whole world blowing up? 3 years ago, it wasn't. Why is it blowing up? He said, because you need Trump
Does have a
back as
point right there.
president.
You need a strong
They were
fucking
afraid of him.
president.
China
Ukraine
was
wouldn't have
afraid,
happened.
and I
And
don't like
yeah.
to use the word afraid, but I'm just quoting him. China was afraid of him. North Korea was afraid of him. Look at what's going on with North Korea, by the way. He said Russia was afraid of him. I ended the Nord Stream 2 pipeline, and Biden put it back on day one, but he ended the XL pipeline. The XL pipeline in our country, he ended that. But he let the Russians build a pipeline going all over Europe and heading into Germany, the biggest pipeline in the world. Look, Viktor Orban said it. He said the most respected, most feared person is Donald Trump. We had no problems when Trump was president. But when this weak, pathetic man that you saw at a debate just a few months ago, that if he weren't in that debate, he'd be running instead of her. She got no votes. He got 14 million votes. What you did, you talk about a threat to democracy. He got 14 million votes, and they threw him out of office. And you know what? I'll give you a little secret. He hates her. He can't stand her. But he got 14 million votes. They threw him out. She got 0 votes. And when she ran, she was the first one to leave because she failed. And now she's running. I don't understand it, but I'm okay with it because
your time is
I think
up.
we're going to do very well.
We've got a lot more to get to.
Turning now
Yes.
to the Israel-Hamas war and the hostages who are still being held.
Oh,
Americans among them. Vice
this could
President
tank
Harris,
her.
in December, you said, quote, Israel has a right to defend itself, but you added, quote, it matters how, saying international humanitarian law must be respected. Israel must do more to protect innocent civilians. You said that 9 months ago. Now an estimated 40,000 Palestinians are dead. Nearly 100 hostages remain. Just last week, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said there's not a deal in the making. President Biden has not been able to break through the stalemate. How would you do it?
Well, let's understand how we got here. On October 7, Hamas, a terrorist organization, slaughtered 1,200 Israelis, many of them young people who were simply attending a concert. Women were horribly raped. And so, absolutely, I said then, I say now.
As opposed
Israel
to unhorribly
has a
raped?
right to defend itself. We would. And how it does so matters. Because it is also true, far too many innocent Palestinians have been killed. Children, mothers. What we know is that this war must end. It must end immediately.
The war
and the
wouldn't
way
have
it
started
will
if
end
Trump
is
was
we
still
need
president.
a ceasefire deal and we need the hostages out. And so we will continue to work around the clock on that. Work around the clock, also understanding that we must chart a course for a two-state solution. And in that solution, there must be security for the Israeli people and Israel, and in equal measure for the Palestinians. But the one thing I will assure you always, I will always give Israel the ability to defend itself, in particular as it relates to Iran and any threat that Iran and its proxies pose to Israel.
So
But
what
we
has she been
must have
doing
a
since
two-state
for
solution
almost a
where
year?
we can rebuild Gaza, where the Palestinians have security, self-determination, and the dignity they so rightly deserve.
President Trump, how would you negotiate with Netanyahu and also Hamas in order to get the hostages out and prevent the killing of more innocent civilians in Gaza?
If I were
Easy,
president,
it's called
it
Delta
would have
Force.
never
No.
started. If I were president, Russia would have never, ever, I know Putin very well, he would have, there was no threat of it either, by the way, for 4 years. They killed millions of people when you add it up, far worse than people understand what's going on over there. But when she mentions about Israel, all of a sudden, she hates Israel. She wouldn't even meet with Netanyahu when he went to Congress to make a very important speech.
It's
She
true.
refused to be there because she was at a sorority party of hers. She wanted to go to the sorority party. She hates Israel. If she's president, I believe that Israel will not exist within 2 years from now. And I've been pretty good at predictions, and I hope I'm wrong about that one. She hates Israel. At the same time, in her own way, she hates the Arab population because the whole place is going to get blown up. Arabs, Jewish people, Israel will be gone. It would have never happened. Iran was broke under Donald Trump. Now Iran has $300 billion because they took off all the sanctions that I had. Iran had no money for Hamas or Hezbollah or any of the 28
True.
different spheres of terror. And they are spheres of terror, horrible terror. They had no money. It was a big story, and you know it. You covered it very well, actually. They had no money for terror. They were broke. Now they're a rich nation. And now what they're doing is they're spreading that money around. Look at what's happening with the Houthis and Yemen. Look at what's going on in the Middle East. This would have never happened. I will get that settled and fast, and I'll get the war with Ukraine and Russia ended. If I'm president-elect, I'll get it done before even becoming president.
Vice President Harris, he says you hate Israel
That's absolutely not true. I have my entire career and life supported Israel and the Israeli people. He knows that. He's trying to, again, divide and distract from the reality, which is it is very well known that Donald Trump is weak and wrong on national security and foreign policy. It is well known that he admires dictators, wants to be a dictator on day one, according to himself.
There's a difference
well
between respect
known
and admire.
that he
Once
said
again,
of
out of
Putin
context, where he says, "I will
that
become a
he
dictator,
can
and I
do
will
whatever
rule
the hell he
the
wants and go
land
into
to kick
Ukraine.
people out and
It is
shut
well
down shit."
known
And
that he said when Russia went into Ukraine, it was brilliant. It is well known he exchanged love letters with Kim Jong-un. And it is absolutely well known that these dictators and autocrats are rooting for you to be president again because they're so clear they can manipulate you with flattery and favors. And that is why so many military leaders who you have worked with
And
have
she would
told
know
me
about favors,
you
y'all.
are a disgrace. That is why we understand that we have to have a president who is not consistently weak and wrong on
Vice
national
I like how
security,
she avoided
including
the
the
whole,
importance
yeah,
of
we've lifted
upholding
sanctions,
and
gave Iran
respecting
money,
in
and then
highest regard our
immediately
military.
Vice
Hamas
President
had
Harris,
money to
thank
buy
you.
missiles and shit
And
like
she's
that.
the
Yeah.
one that caused it. That's weak on national security by allowing every nation last month for the year, 168 different countries sending people into our country. Their crime rates are way down. Putin endorsed her last week, said, I hope she wins. And I think he meant it because what he's gotten away with is absolutely incredible. It wouldn't have happened with me. The leaders of other countries think that they're weak and incompetent, and they are. They're grossly incompetent. And I just ask one question. Why does Biden go in and kill the Keystone Pipeline and approve the single biggest deal that Russia's ever made, Nord Stream 2, the biggest pipeline anywhere in the world going to Germany and
But
all
she
over
talked
Europe?
about energy and
Because they're weak and
independence.
they're ineffective. And
Yeah.
Biden, by the way,
President
gets paid
Trump,
a lot of money.
Thank you. We have a lot of issues to get to.
We'll be right back with much more of this historic ABC News presidential debate from the
Okay.
National Constitution Center right here in Philadelphia. Back in a moment.
Well,
Okay, so
the
I just want to
ranting,
say,
the pots.
just to clarify, so for people that don't know, I'm not a big Trump fan. I'm not a Republican. I got my own thoughts. I just think these last two people that the Democrats have put up are the worst fucking choices they could ever fucking make. They're fucking stupid. They don't get anything done. And those are my thoughts. So I don't hate, liberals or anything like that. It just, yeah. I wanna
Well,
clarify that.
so far all we've learned is a bunch of ranting, avoidance of questions, and yeah, that's all we've learned so far.
I did also want to say, Ben, that you should feel lucky because I've literally received 6 StreamYard links to debates for tonight. Everybody said, "Oh, come on over," and I'm like, "No."
Well, that's because I set mine up first.
That's
Yeah.
right.
So
Ben
fuck all
was
Well,
those
smart.
other
we talked about it a while ago when we did the first one. So yeah,
Exactly.
but I just keep getting them. I'm like, what the fuck, people?
Stop being so popular, Harley.
Right?
But when if I was Trump or if I was the president of the United States, I might want
I'd
to
vote for
be
you.
on friendly terms with all those dictators. I'm just saying,
Well,
they're not
yeah.
going to change.
Well, that's the
So-
point. That's the point. That's the
That's-
point. I mean,
yeah.
they said China was trying to call Biden to talk to him, and he wouldn't even. Biden was trying to call China to talk to him. They wouldn't even return his phone call.
Well,
Like,
that's
they were
like when
like, "Fuck you."
she said he admires these dictators. That's why I said there's a difference between admiring and respecting. I don't have to like you. I don't have to agree with you, but I can still respect you.
At least be on mutual.
The other dictators are bad
just
people. They do
simple-
horrible shit.
Yeah, just be on simple terms where you can at least
Yeah.
communicate. I mean, that's the
So we could
difference.
work together, so I could try and help out as much as possible. Yeah.
Mr. President, it has been the position of the Biden administration that we must defend Ukraine from Russia, from Vladimir Putin, to defend their sovereignty, their democracy.
Let's give them more
that it's in
billions of
America's
dollars.
best interest to do so, arguing that if Putin wins, he may be emboldened to move even further into other countries.
Oh
You
yeah.
have said you would solve this war in 24 hours. You said so just before the break tonight.
Like,
How exactly would you do that? And I want to ask you a very simple question tonight. Do you want Ukraine to win this war?
I want the war to stop. I want to save lives that are being uselessly people being killed by the millions. It's the millions. It's so much worse than the numbers that you're getting, which are fake numbers. Look, we're in for 250 billion or more because they don't ask Europe, which is a much bigger beneficiary to getting this thing done than we are. They're in for $150 billion less because Biden and you don't have the courage to ask Europe like I did with NATO. They paid billions and billions, hundreds of billions of dollars when I said, either you pay up or we're not going to protect you anymore. So that's maybe one of the reasons they don't like me as much as they like weak people. But you take a look at
Also
what's
true.
happening. We're in for 250 to 275 billion. They're into 100 to 150. They should be forced to equalize. With that being said, I want to get the war settled. I know Zelensky very well, and I know Putin very well. I have a good relationship, and they respect your president, okay? They respect me. They don't respect Biden. How would you respect him? Why? For what reason? He hasn't even made a phone call in 2 years to Putin, hasn't spoken to anybody. They don't even try and get it. That is a war that's dying to be settled. I will get it settled before I even become president. If I win, when I'm president-elect, and what I'll do is I'll speak to one, I'll speak to the other, I'll get them together. That war would have never happened. And in fact, when I saw Putin after I left, unfortunately left because our country has gone to hell. But after I left, when I saw him building up soldiers, he did it after I left. I said, oh, he must be negotiating. It must be a good, strong point of negotiation. Well, it wasn't, because Biden had no idea how to talk to him. He had no idea how to stop it. And now you have millions of people dead, and it's only getting worse, and it could lead to World War III. Don't kid yourself, David. We're playing with World War III, and we have a president that we don't even know.
World War III on
Where
two
is
fronts.
our president? We don't even know if he's a
Where is our
president.
president?
They threw him out of a campaign like a dog. We don't even know. Is he our president? But we have a president
Mr.
that
President,
doesn't know he's alive.
your time is up. Just to clarify in the question, do you believe it's in the U.S. best interest for Ukraine to win this war? Yes or no?
I think it's the U.S. best interest to get this war
Sure.
finished and just get it done.
All right.
Negotiate a deal, because we have to stop all of these human lives from being destroyed.
I want to take this to Vice President Harris. I want to get your thoughts on support for Ukraine in this moment, but also as Commander-in-Chief, if elected, how would you deal with Vladimir Putin, and would it be any different from what we're seeing from President Biden?
Well, first of all, it's
Let's see,
important to remind the former president you're not running against Joe Biden, you're running against me. I believe the reason that
Okay.
Donald Trump says that this war would be over within 24 hours is because he would just give it up. And that's not who we are as Americans. Let's understand what happened here.
Endless wars.
I
Here we go.
actually met with Zelensky a few days before Russia invaded, tried through force to change territorial boundaries, to defy one of the most important international rules and norms, which is the importance of sovereignty and territorial integrity. And I met with President Zelensky. I shared with him American intelligence about how he could defend himself. Days later, I went to NATO's eastern flank, to Poland and Romania. And through the work that I and others did, we brought 50 countries together to support Ukraine in its righteous defense. And because of our support, because of the air defense, the ammunition, the artillery, the javelins, the Abrams tanks that we have provided, Ukraine stands as an independent and free country. If Donald Trump were president, Putin would be sitting in Kyiv right now. And understand what that would mean, because Putin's agenda is not just about Ukraine. Understand why the European allies and our NATO allies are so thankful that you are no longer president, and that we understand the
'Cause he was
importance
asking,
of the
telling them,
greatest
"Pay your fair
military
share,
alliance the
bitch."
world has ever known, which is NATO, and what we have done to preserve the ability of Zelensky and the Ukrainians to fight for their independence. Other
I have to stop this bitch right now. And if anyone's listening and believes anything she's just saying, she's saying, oh, because we are in charge, Russia could invade Ukraine. And now we have all this backing and we're spending billions of dollars, but the war is still going. And Trump's like, if I was there, it would have never happened. So,
And I
now she's like, I'm going to
wholeheartedly believe that.
continue to, I've done all this work, but we haven't resolved anything. But we spent
Nope.
billions and billions of dollars. for nothing.
Yep.
Good fucking job.
Yeah. That's
Otherwise, Putin would be sitting in Kyiv with his eyes on the rest of Europe, starting with Poland. And why don't you tell the 800,000 Polish Americans right here in Pennsylvania how quickly you would give up for the sake of favor and what you think is a friendship with what is known to be a dictator who would eat you for lunch?
Vice President Harris, thank you. We've heard from both of you on Ukraine tonight.
As they
Afghanistan
can't
came
even
up
get
in
a
the
hold
last
of
hour.
him.
I wanted her to respond to something you said
Shut the
earlier.
fuck
And
up, woman.
please,
Oh
I'll
my
give you a minute here.
What is she talking about?
Putin would be sitting in Moscow, and he wouldn't have lost 300,000 men and women, but he would have been sitting in Moscow. Quiet, please. He would have been sitting in
There it is. Quiet,
Moscow,
please.
much happier than he is right now. But eventually, you know, he's got a thing that other people don't have. He's got nuclear weapons. They don't ever talk about that. He's got nuclear weapons. Nobody ever thinks about that. And eventually, maybe he'll use them, and maybe he hasn't been that threatening. But he does have that, something we don't even like to talk about. Nobody likes to talk about it. But just so you understand, they sent her to negotiate peace before this war started. 3 days later, he went in and he started the war because everything they said was weak and stupid. They said the wrong things. That war should have never started. She was the emissary. They sent her in to negotiate with
waiting for her
Zelensky
to
and
snap.
Putin. And she did.
Oh,
And
it's
the war
gonna have.
started 3 days
I'm waiting
later.
for the word
And that's the
salad.
kind
That's
of
what I'm waiting
talent
for.
we have
She
with
already
her.
went into her
She's
life
worse than
story, so
Biden.
she's
In
already
my
hit one
opinion, I
check
think
mark
he's the worst
tonight.
president in the history of our country. She goes down as the worst vice president in the history of our
She
country.
does
But
go
let me
down
tell
from
you
what I've
something.
heard. So.
She is a horrible negotiator. They sent her in to negotiate. As soon as they left, Putin did the invasion.
President Trump, thank you. You did bring up something. You said she went to negotiate with Vladimir Putin. Vice President Harris, have you ever met Vladimir Putin? Can you clarify tonight?
Yet again,
Oh,
I
she
said
went
at the
to
beginning of the debate,
Ukraine.
you're going to hear a bunch of
Yeah.
lies coming
And
from
he
this
never
fellow.
said.
And that is another
He
one.
didn't say she wanted to meet with
When
Putin.
I went to
What's up,
meet
Kaya?
with President Zelensky, I've now met with him over 5 times.
Oh, good job.
The
So you're buddy
reality is
buddies.
it has
That's
been
not what he
about
asked.
standing as
Giggity.
America always should.
And only 4 of those were in
As
a hotel
a
room.
leader upholding international rules and norms, as a leader who shows strength, understanding that the alliances we have around the world are dependent on our ability to look out for our friends and not favor our enemies because you adore strong men instead of caring about democracy. And that is very much what is at stake here.
Oh,
The
please.
President of the United States
Please
is
bring up
commander-in-chief.
democracy and
And the
please
American people
do it.
have a right to rely on a president who understands the significance of America's role and responsibility in terms of ensuring that there is stability and ensuring we stand up for our principles and not sell them for the benefit of personal flattery.
I have to stop here. I hate to keep pausing it because I mean we have to get some commentary in here a little bit. It was funny because if I know Frankie, you were a little bit on the live stream last night, right?
I watched the whole thing.
Okay, you watched the whole thing. Harley, Dad, I don't think you were there, or you may have listened to a little bit. I don't know. It was funny, and I'm not pinpointing the person, but specifically, as a liberal, said America needs to get the fuck out of everyone's business, and I was like, we 100% agree. 100% agree. That's why Trump's like, Europe needs to pay their fucking share. They need to fucking do their shit. It's your fucking continent, for fuck's sake. You do something about it.
Yeah.
And it's funny, then she's saying, well, we need to be involved with everyone's business. So what do you want? She's the liberal, and she's saying we need to be involved with everyone's fucking business.
But she's never met Putin.
Yeah, well, because she'd be terrified. She'd cower and like piss herself.
Well, that was the
probably.
main question he asked. Have
Yeah,
you ever met
and-
Putin? And all we got is her meeting the other dude 5 times. And then
Yeah. Well, giggity, moving
Yeah.
up in the
As I
ladder.
said, only 4 of those were in a hotel room. So
Yeah, allegedly.
allegedly.
We talked about Ukraine and Vladimir Putin. I do want to talk about Afghanistan. It came up in the first hour of this debate. I want to move on to Afghanistan.
Good God, we've been here an
The
hour
most
already.
amazing
Holy
thing
shit.
I've ever seen. He got
An
these
hour and
countries,
40 minutes.
28 countries at the time, to pay up. He said, I've never seen, he's the head of NATO. He said, I've never seen, for years, we were paying almost all of NATO. We were
Wait,
being
what happened?
ripped off by European nations, both on
Did we go
trade and
backwards?
on NATO. I got them to pay up by saying one of the
No.
statements you made before.
Oh,
If you
okay.
don't pay, we're not going to protect you.
President
Otherwise,
Trump.
we would have never gotten it. He said it was one of the most incredible jobs that he's ever seen done.
Thank you. I want to turn to Afghanistan. It came up in the first hour of the
Yeah, we
debate,
did go. We,
and we
we
were
Oh,
went
yes,
to
it
our
did,
poignant
yeah.
moment
Yeah,
today
it
of
went
Capitol Hill
backwards.
honoring the
Okay.
soldiers who died in the chaotic withdrawal from Afghanistan. I do want to ask the Vice President, do you believe you bear any responsibility in the way that withdrawal played out?
Well, I will tell you, I agreed with President Biden's decision to pull out of Afghanistan. Four
Yeah,
presidents
do it fucking
said they
properly.
would, and Joe Biden did. And as a result, America's taxpayers are not paying the $300 million a day we were paying for that endless war. And as of today, there is not one member of the United States military who is in active duty in a combat zone in any war zone around the world, the first time this century. But let's understand how we
They're in
got
Ukraine, you
to
dumb
where we are.
bitch.
Donald
No,
Trump,
she
when he
doesn't
was
get that.
president, negotiated
Was
one
it
of
That's
the
not in her
weakest
daily brief.
deals you can imagine.
Yeah.
He calls
Yeah, she
himself
don't
a
get those.
deal maker. Even his national security advisor said it was a weak, terrible deal. And here's how it went down. He bypassed the Afghan government. He negotiated directly with a terrorist organization called the Taliban. The negotiation involved the Taliban getting 5,000 Taliban terrorists released. And get this, and the president at the time invited the Taliban to Camp David, a place of
Did
storied
you see that? She was like, "No, get
significance for
this,
us
get
as
like somebody was
Americans, a
interrupting her.
place
No,
where
get
we
this." Get,
honor
Yeah, no,
Said
that,
it,
that,
you
that,
can't.
that,
of
that-
American
she's trying to get that
diplomacy, where we
that
invite
strong
and
woman moment
receive
in there. Like,
respected world
get
leaders.
this, get this.
And this,
It's funny. She's blaming
y'all-
him for
President-
something that
as
they
president,
did.
invited them
Yeah. Well,
to
and then they
Camp
let
David
Al Qaeda
because he
take back
does
over
not,
Afghanistan.
again, appreciate
And
the
Trump, all Trump has to
role
say
and
is,
responsibility of
I
the president
canceled
of the
that deal
United
because it was
States
shit because
to
they
be
backed out of it.
commander-in-chief
So
with a
I
level
canceled
of
it.
respect.
I mean,
And
that's
this
all he
gets
has to
back
say.
to the point of how he has consistently disparaged and demeaned members of our military, fallen soldiers, and the work that we must do to uphold the strength and the respect of the United States of America around the world.
See,
Vice
there
President
we
Harris,
go
thank
again.
you.
There we
President
go
Trump, your
again.
response to her.
As people say, America needs to back the fuck out of things. And she's like, we need to uphold the strength around the world. Like, bitch, stop trying to put your fake dick into everyone's fucking asshole.
Well, I mean,
you know?
if you look at it this way, we sent all this money and all this equipment and bullets and everything over to fucking Ukraine to help them out, and then in Afghanistan, we gave them night vision goggles and tanks and helicopters. And,
They left
you
it
know,
all
so-
there. Yeah, they left it all there.
yeah, exactly.
So it's
That
like-
was that, and that's obviously I'm not a combat vet. I've never been a vet at all. But that, from my understanding, from everything I've seen and looked at and read and watched, that is exactly why we were able to do what we were able to do, because we owned the night, because we had night vision and they couldn't fucking get them. So they would do their stupid shit during the day, and then our guys would go out at night with nods and fucking take care of business.
a heavy
But now-
part of it. I mean, there was always caches. We found caches of military weapons that they had
Yeah,
acquired or stolen or whatever from different things.
right.
So they did get some of it, but yeah, leaving everything behind and I don't know.
For saying that you began the negotiations with
thank
the
you.
Taliban.
So, if you take a look at that period of time, the Taliban was killing our soldiers, a lot of them, with snipers. And I got involved with the Taliban because the Taliban was doing the killing. That's the fighting force within Afghanistan. They don't bother doing that because, they deal with the wrong people all the time. But I got involved. And Abdul is the head of the Taliban. He is still the head of the Taliban. And I told Abdul, don't do it anymore. You do it anymore, you're going to have problems. And he said, why do you send me a picture of my house? I said, you're going to have to figure that out, Abdul. And for 18 months, we had nobody killed. We did have an agreement negotiated by Mike Pompeo. It was a very good agreement. The reason it was good, it was We were getting out. We would have been out faster than them, but we wouldn't have lost the soldiers. We wouldn't have left many Americans behind, and we wouldn't have left $85 billion worth of brand new, beautiful military equipment behind. And just to finish, they blew it. The agreement said you have to do this, and they didn't do it. They didn't do it. The agreement was terminated by us because they didn't do what they were supposed to do.
I want to move
And
on.
these people did the worst withdrawal and, in
I like
my
how the
opinion,
announcer-
the
I wanna
most
move on.
embarrassing
Like-
moment in the history of our country. And by the way, that's why Russia attacked Ukraine, because they saw how incompetent she and her boss are.
President Trump, thank you. I want to move on now to race and politics in this country. Mr. President, you recently said of Vice President Harris, quote, "I didn't know she was black until a number of years ago when she
There it
happened
is.
to turn black, and now she wants to be known as black." I want to ask a bigger picture question here tonight. Why do you believe it's appropriate to weigh in on the racial identity of your opponent?
I don't, and I don't care. I don't care what she is. I don't care. You make a big deal out of something. I couldn't care less. Whatever she wants to be is okay with me.
But those were your words. So I'm
I don't
asking,
know. I don't know. I mean, all I can say is I read where she was not black, that she put out, and I'll say that. And then I read that she was black, and that's okay. Either one was okay with me. That's up to her. That's up to her.
Vice President Harris, your thoughts on this?
I think it's, I mean, honestly, I think it's a tragedy.
Trump just say it's
that we
okay for
have,
everybody to identify
someone
what they
who-
want.
Well, it was brought up. People were like, "Is he going to bring it up?" Like, no, the announcer will do it. I'm sorry, she's not black. She's not black.
Well,
I'm sorry.
It's fucking
I'm just
stupid,
saying, no, she's not black. She's Indian.
Well, just imagine though, you're friends with somebody or whatever, and after a while, they're, oh yeah, because black or whatever. Oh, you're black? Oh, damn, I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's
That's
like well,
basically
that's
what
like,
it
that's like-
was.
that's like people coming to view like, wait, you're white? What?
Yeah.
Get the fuck out of here.
Or
Yeah,
oh, I didn't know Ben was gay. What? Yeah, it didn't affect them at all.
That one I believe, but the no, not being white one, bullshit. She's not black. I'm sorry, people. If you think she's black, you're ridiculous.
wants to be president who has consistently, over the course of his career, attempted to use race to divide the American people. You know, I do believe that the vast majority of us know that we
I have to pause there immediately as she's like, I'm a black woman. That's dividing. Are you kidding me right now? If people don't see that's dividing, not dividing, shut the fuck up.
have so much more in common than what separates us, and we don't want this kind of approach that is just constantly trying to divide us, and especially by race. And let's remember how Donald Trump started. He was a land, he owned buildings, and he was investigated because he refused to rent
He owned
property to
land.
black families. Let's remember, this is the same individual who took out a full-page ad in the New York Times calling for the execution of 5 young Black and Latino boys who were innocent, the Central Park 5. Took out a full-page ad calling for their execution. This is the same individual who spread
saw that.
birther lies about the first Black president of the United States. And I think the American people want better than that. Want better than
I was
this.
waiting for her to bring up that
Want
he also
someone
kicked
who
a black family
understands
out of the
as
White
I do,
House.
I travel our country. We see in each other a friend. We see
Good
in
one.
each other
Good
a
one.
neighbor. We
Good
don't
one.
want a leader who is constantly trying to have Americans point their fingers at each other. I meet with people all the time who tell me,
Why does it
can
sound
we
like she's gonna
please
cry?
just have discourse about how we're going to invest in the aspirations and the ambitions and the dreams of the American people? Knowing that regardless of people's color or the language their grandmother speaks, we all have the same dreams and aspirations and want a president who invests in those, not in hate and division.
Vice President Harris, thank you. Lindsay?
President Trump, this is now your 3rd time.
This is the most divisive presidency in the history of our country. There's never been anything like it. They're destroying our country, and they come up with things like what she just said. going back many, many years, when a lot of people, including Mayor Bloomberg, agreed with me on the Central Park Five, they admitted, they said, they pled guilty. And I said, well, if they pled guilty, they badly hurt a person, killed a person ultimately. And if they pled guilty, then they pled, we're not guilty. But this is a person that has to stretch back years, 40, 50 years ago, because there's nothing now. I built one of the greatest economies in the history of the world, and I'm going to build it again. It's going to be bigger, better, and stronger. But they're destroying our economy. They have no idea what a good economy is. Their oil policies, every single policy. And remember this, she is Biden. You know, she's trying to get away from Biden. I don't know the gentleman, she says.
There we go.
She is Biden. The worst inflation we've ever had, a horrible economy because inflation has made it so bad, and she can't get away with that.
Thank you. Time is up.
I want to respond to that, though. I want to just respond briefly. Clearly, I am not Joe Biden,
Well,
and I am certainly not Donald Trump. And what I do offer is a new generation of leadership for our country.
yeah.
One who believes in what is possible, one who brings a sense of optimism about what we
Oh,
can do.
I just
instead
wanted him
of
to.
always
I wanted to tear
disparaging
into her for
the American
stealing his
people.
policies.
I believe
That's what I
in
want.
what we can do to
Like final kind of
strengthen
note.
our small businesses, which is why I have a plan. Let's talk about our plans and let's compare the plans.
By all means,
I
Kamala,
have a
finally
plan
talk about your
To
to give
plans.
startup businesses $50,000 tax deduction to pursue their ambitions, their innovation, their ideas, their hard work. I have a plan, $6,000 for young families for the first year of your child's life to help you in that most critical stage of your child's development. I have a plan that is about allowing people to be able to pursue what has been fleeting in terms of the American dream by offering a help with down payment of $25,000 down
Jesus
payment
Christ! Yeah,
assistance
that's a
for
fucking
first-time
down.
home
That's a
buyers.
pitfall.
That's the kind of conversation I believe, David, that people really want tonight, as opposed to a conversation that is constantly about belittling and name calling. Let's turn the
I haven't
Sorry,
heard him call a name yet.
$25,000 for first home buyer
Down payment
is
assistance, yeah.
a stupid fucking idea. That is how you raise house prices because it's in high demand then because everyone can get a fucking down payment.
Well,
Yeah.
you can't buy a house with a down payment of $25,000. Sorry.
I get zero down payment because I have military.
When we bought our house 4 years ago, or 5 years ago now, we used 20 grand down. But I know it's
Yeah,
different
yeah.
nowadays. But
Yeah,
I-
now.
I'm just saying, yeah. If everyone is basically almost guaranteed $25,000 down, house prices will go from 200,000 to 300, and then you're gonna be fucked no matter what because you won't be able to qualify because like, what do you make a year? Oh yeah, no, sorry, you don't qualify even with that down. So it doesn't matter. You're just fucking yourself in the end of the day.
I'll just
You know.
just chat real quick, Val. I think you probably talk about what I said about sound like she's gonna cry. I wasn't mocking her voice. It's just several times throughout the speech she gets to a point where she starts to get that graveliness, like it sounds like she's gonna cry. And I'm just like, I just pointed that out. So, but no, I'm
Yeah.
not mocking her voice. I can't mock anybody's voice. My voice fucking sucks. So
It does, and he does suck,
I know.
literally and physically.
Shut up and push the button.
Never.
page
Vice President
and move
Harris,
forward.
Thank you. Let's turn to policy.
President
Let's turn
Trump,
back
we
to
have
policy.
to move on. President Trump.
Oh, okay.
Let's turn to policy,
She has
please.
a plan to defund the police. She has a plan to confiscate everybody's gun.
President Trump,
She
we
has
do
a
have to
plan
move
to
on to
not
other
allow
issues.
fracking in Pennsylvania or anywhere else.
Okay.
Thank you,
That's
Mr.
what her
President.
plan is until just recently.
I just need
Lindsay,
to
go ahead.
respond.
President Trump-
No, the
President
former
Trump-
president has
No,
said
I'm
something
sorry.
twice that I need to
No,
respond
I'm
to.
Here we
sorry.
go.
We're gonna
Here we
move
go.
on, Vice
One
President
time
Harris.
to what he has
President
said
Trump, this is
multiple
now your third time running for president. You have long vowed to repeal and replace the Affordable Care Act, also known as Obamacare. You have failed to accomplish that. You now say you're going to keep Obamacare, quote, unless we can do something much better. Last month, you said, quote, we're working on it. So tonight, 9 years after you first started running, do you have a plan, and can you tell us what it is?
Obamacare was lousy health care, always was. It's not very good today. And what I said, that if we come up with something, and we are working on things, we're going to do it and we're going to replace it. But Remember this. I inherited Obamacare because Democrats wouldn't change it. They wouldn't vote for it. They were unanimous. They wouldn't vote to change it. If they would have done that, we would have had a much better plan than Obamacare. But the Democrats came up. They wouldn't vote for it. I had a choice to make when I was president. Do I save it and make it as good as it can be, never going to be great, or do I let it rot? And I felt I had an obligation, even though politically it would have been good to just let it rot and let it go away. I decided, and I told my people, the top people, and they're very good people. I have a lot of good people in that administration. We read about the bad ones. We had some real bad ones too, and so do they. They have really bad ones. The difference is they don't get rid of them. But let me just explain. I had a choice to make. Do I save it and make it as good as it can be, or do I let it rot? And I saved it. I did the right thing. But it's still never going to be great, and it's too expensive for people. And what we will do is we're looking at different plans. If we can come up with a plan that's going to cost our people, our population, less money and be better health care than Obamacare, then I would absolutely do it. But until then, I'd run it as good as it can be run.
So just a yes or no, you still do not have a plan?
I have concepts of a plan. I'm not president right now. But if we come up with something, I would only change it if we come up with something that's better and less expensive. And there are concepts and options we have to do that. And you'll be hearing about it in the not too distant future.
Vice President Harris, in 2017, you supported Bernie Sanders' proposal to do away with private insurance and create a government-run healthcare system. 2 years later, you proposed a plan that included a private insurance option. What is your plan today?
Well, first of all, I absolutely support, and over the last 4 years as vice president, private healthcare options. But what we need to do is maintain and grow the Affordable Care Act. But I'll get to that, Lindsay. I just need to respond to a previous point that the former president has made. I've made very clear my position on fracking. And then this business about taking everyone's guns away.
Here we
Tim
go.
Walz and I are both
Off
gun owners. We're
healthcare,
not taking
back to
anybody's
frack.
guns away. So stop with the continuous lying about this stuff. As it relates to the Affordable Care Act, understand, just look at the history to know where people stand. When Donald Trump was president, 60 times he tried to get rid of the Affordable Care Act. 60 times. I was a senator at the time when I will never forget the early morning hours when it was up for a vote in the United States Senate. And the late, great John McCain, who you have disparaged as being, you don't like him, you said at the time, because he got caught. He was an American hero. The late, great John McCain, I will never forget that night, walked onto the Senate floor and said, no, you don't. No, you don't. No, you don't get rid of the Affordable Care Act. You have no plan. And what the Affordable Care Act has done is eliminate the ability of insurance companies to deny people with pre-existing conditions. I don't have to tell the people watching tonight, you remember what that was like? Remember when an insurance company could deny if a child had asthma, if someone was a breast cancer survivor, if a grandparent had diabetes? And thankfully, as I've been vice president and we over the last 4 years have strengthened the Affordable Care Act, we have allowed for the first time Medicare to negotiate drug prices on behalf of you, the American people. Donald Trump said he was going to allow Medicare to negotiate drug prices. He never did. We did. And now we have capped the cost of insulin at $35 a month. Since I've been vice president, we have capped the cost of prescription medication for seniors at $2,000 a year. And when I am president, we will do that for all people, understanding that the value I bring to this is that access to health care should be a right and not just a privilege of those who can afford it. And the plan has to be to strengthen the Affordable Care Act, not get rid of it.
Vice
Pass as
President
prologue
Harris,
in
thank
terms
you.
of where Donald Trump stands on that.
I want to move to an issue that's important for a
She
lot
made a
of...
mistake. And number one, John McCain fought Obamacare for 10 years. But it wasn't only him. It were all of the Democrats that kept it going. And you know what? We can do much better than Obamacare, much less money. But she won't improve private insurance for people, private medical insurance. That's another thing she doesn't want to get.
President
People
Trump-
are paying privately for insurance that have worked hard and made money, and they want to have private. She wants everybody to be on government insurance where you wait 6 months for an operation that you need immediately.
President Trump, thank you. We have another issue that we'd like to get to that's important for a number of Americans, in particular younger voters, and that's climate change. President Trump, with regard to the environment, you say that we have to have clean air and clean water. Vice President Harris, you call climate change an existential threat. The question to you both tonight is, what would you do to fight climate change? And Vice President Harris, we'll start with you. 1 minute for you each.
Well, the former president had said that climate change is a hoax. And what we know is that it is very real. You ask anyone who lives in a state who has experienced these extreme weather occurrences, who now is either being denied home insurance or it's being jacked up. You ask anybody who has been the victim of what that means in terms of losing their home, having nowhere to go. We know that we can actually deal with this issue. The young people of America care deeply about this issue. And I am proud that as vice president over the last 4 years, we have invested $1 trillion in a clean energy economy, while we have also increased domestic gas production to historic levels. We have created over 800,000 new manufacturing jobs while I have been vice president. We have invested in clean energy to the point that we are opening up factories around the world. Donald Trump said he was going to create manufacturing jobs. He lost manufacturing jobs. And I'm also proud to have the endorsement of the United Auto Workers and Sean Fain, who also know that part of building a clean energy economy includes investing in American-made products, American automobiles. It includes growing what we can do around American manufacturing and opening up auto plants, not closing them like happened under Donald Trump.
Vice President Harris, thank you.
That didn't happen under Donald Trump. Let me just tell you, they lost 10,000 manufacturing jobs this last month. It's going, they're all leaving. They're building big auto plants in Mexico, in many cases owned by China. They're building these massive plants, and they think they're going to sell their cars into the United States because of these people. What they have given to China is unbelievable. But we're not going to let that. We'll put tariffs on those cars so they can't come into our country, because they will kill the United Auto Workers and any auto worker, whether it's in Detroit or South Carolina or any other place. What they've done to business and manufacturing in this country is horrible. We have nothing because they refuse. You know, Biden doesn't go after people because supposedly China paid him millions of dollars. He's afraid to do it. Between him and his son, they get all this money from Ukraine. They get all this money from all of these different countries. And then you wonder, why is he so loyal to this one, that one, Ukraine, China? Why is he? Why did he get $3.5 million from the mayor of Moscow's wife? Why did she pay him $3.5 million? This is a crooked administration, and they're selling our country down the tubes.
President Trump, thank you.
Thank you.
We'll be right back with closing statements from both of our candidates. An historic night, this ABC News presidential debate from Philadelphia. Back in a moment.
The ABC News.
Damn, closing statements. I just got my drink, man. It's gonna get good.
No, I can't believe it's over, and I still
To the future of our family.
don't.
I will build a city
I
that
haven't
people
gotten
can
the
dream about.
questions answered.
That man is a megalomaniac.
Yeah, I don't think a single question's really been answered, honestly.
No,
It's fucking
but it's
ridiculous.
really disappointing.
Prove yourself.
I mean,
We are going
what a waste
But I
of
will
time.
say,
What?
I will say the good thing is I don't think that we're gonna blow up any discords off of this debate.
the right idea.
So that's a good thing.
Megalopolis, rated R, September 27th.
Sail through the
I'll
heart
bet-
of
oh, yeah,
historic
yeah.
cities
I don't
and
know.
unforgettable
It might be
scenery
good if we
with
get Mel
Viking.
on.
Unpack
Well, it was
the
funny because I saw he was in here earlier and he's like, all right, I'm gonna get out of here before this shit
local
starts.
life and cultural treasures.
Yes, it was
Because when you
very awful
experience
last
Europe
night.
on a Viking longship, you'll spend less
Yeah, I
time
wasn't able to be here
getting
last
there
night, but
and more time
I just, the last debate was fun. Well, and that's the thing is, you know, I'm not a political analyst. Like, I just pay attention to shit here and there and I pick up things. And like I was saying, it's not like I hate liberals. It's not like I love Trump or friggin', excuse me, Republicans or anything. I'm very in the middle. I really am. If I have to label myself, I'm more of a fucking, I can't even think of the fucking term now.
Independent?
Imagine what starts feeding us.
No, it's
On the fence, dude.
No, it's God. Why can't I fucking think of it? A libertarian.
Oh, okay.
I'm more libertarian than anything else. But I think there's a lot of good things the right's doing. I think there's a lot of good things left. Well, they're trying to do, and there's just so much nuance and interaction. Like we were saying earlier, you know, it's a 152-page bill for the border with all this other shit. No, if it's about the border, it should be about the border.
Yeah.
If it's about addressing homeless in the country, it should be about homeless. It shouldn't. There should be no sneaking shit in the back door. None of this fucking bullshit.
Right. Why
so
isn't
fucking
it
stupid.
just bullet points? This is the issue. These are the resolutions.
These are our ideas. These are our
Yeah.
chances or ideas. Which one would you like? Yeah,
Right.
that's fucking stupid. But
And like they said, they print it out like that, hundreds of pages long. So yeah, who has time to read that? Who wants
Yeah.
to read that?
yeah, it's fucking stupid. I don't get it, but you know that's the way it's always going to be. And you know, in the long run, no matter what, none of them are looking out for us. They're trying to find ways to line their fucking pockets. You know, and if they line our pockets along the way, great. You know, but yeah, I hate politicians. I think they should take every politician and an average citizen and put them fight to the death. Whoever wins will be the senator. You know.
Right.
That'd be some shit. Do all. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I'm just mad that I didn't get to hear about what their plans were for the border. I'm still unclear about healthcare. I'm still unclear about abortion. None of them really kind of stuck.
You know what we did find out though
What?
is that we should be in every country in the world sticking our nose in everybody's business. Nah,
I mean, I think we should know what's going on. I think we should know how it affects us as a nation. But let's take care of the problems at hand that are facing our nation. That's what's important to me.
And that's how many fucking homeless vets or fucking addicted vets or fucking like we send these people off to war to fight for our freedom. They see horrible fucking things. They come back. It takes them 8 months to get a fucking VA appointment. What the fuck? No. I can call doctor right now and have an appointment fucking tomorrow. And it's fucking what, 8 o'clock at night. I can guarantee I'd have an appointment tomorrow. You can't do that with the VA.
I don't know what kind of
Yeah.
health insurance you have. I kind of could, but I also know I have to wait for appointments because I had to wait for surgery, and I know people who have to wait for surgery, and we are paying for our health care. But that's just something that happened, you know, recently, in just maybe the last 2 years, where I think appointments had gotten backed up since COVID, and nobody's actually recuperated from
So I
it.
think you've heard.
Well, yeah,
I might
that's
have
it
to-
exactly. Yeah.
I might have to disagree with you
One
about
that
the
is
VA
focused on the
stuff.
future, and the other that is focused
I'm
on
just
the
What do you
saying,
mean?
they're trying.
Have to
They're
take us
trying
back.
really hard.
Well, I know they're trying,
But-
but something needs to be changed because it's a truly messed up
The
system.
American people
Well,
know
yeah,
And there's
they
something
keep
wrong with it.
they keep
and we can
lowering the
chart a
budget.
new way
What
forward.
in the world is
And
actually
the
getting
vision of
cheaper that you can
includes
try to
having a
take money away
plan,
from the budget?
understanding the
Yeah, I don't
aspirations,
know.
the dreams, the hopes, the ambition of the American people, which is why I intend to create an opportunity economy, investing in small businesses, in new families, in what we can do around protecting seniors, what we can do that is about giving hardworking folks a break and bringing down the cost of living. I believe in what we can do together. That is about sustaining America's standing in the world and ensuring that we have the respect that we so rightly deserve, including respecting our military and ensuring we have the most lethal fighting force in the world. I will be a president that will protect our fundamental rights and freedoms, including the right of a woman to make decisions about her own body and not have her government tell her what to do. I'll tell you, I started my career as a prosecutor. I was a DA, I was an attorney general, a United States senator, and now vice
you were
president.
horrible.
I've only had one client, the people. And I'll tell you, as a prosecutor, I never asked a victim or a witness, are you a Republican or a Democrat? The only thing I ever asked them, are
Why
you
would you?
okay? And that's the kind of president
This is
we
a stupid
need.
fucking statement.
Someone who cares about you and is not putting themselves first.
Are you an
I
American?
intend to
She
be a
never asked
president
that.
for all Americans and focus on what we can do over the next 10 and 20 years to build back up our country by investing right now in you, the American people.
Vice President
Americans.
Harris, thank you. President Trump.
Americans.
Not Ukraine. Not Ukraine.
So she
Okay.
just started by saying she's
Well,
going to
the
do this,
immigrants.
she's
This
going to
is,
do
can you
that.
pause it real quick?
Wonderful things. Why hasn't she done it?
Hold on.
She's been there for 3.5
I'm
years.
working on
They've
it. There you go. He made a great
Honestly,
point. Counterpoint.
I understand her sentiment, but that was the stupidest fucking thing I've ever heard. I've never asked a victim, are you Republican or Democrat? Why the fuck would you? That's a stupid fucking statement. I understand what she was trying to portray, but that was fucking terrible.
Well, and invest in America now. So America first. But I'm going to still send billions to Ukraine.
Okay,
I mean, don't
or
get me
what
wrong,
about giving all
Sorry, go
these all the immigrants this money and these benefits when how better would that be used if we were giving it to our vets who actually have done something for their country?
Well, one, and not just vets, just in general. Because, I mean, you just look at, for instance, Chicago, who, sanctuary city, all of a sudden they got like 20,000 migrants. They're like, holy fuck, we're
What
screwed.
the fuck do we do?
And now
Yeah, what do we do?
they're literally in $1 billion downfall fiscally, like financially. They're like $1 billion underwater this next year because of it. And it's like, huh?
And it's still one of the most dangerous
How-
cities in the country.
Yeah, how could you have spent that money better? Oh, by not spending it.
Not
really
allowing
theirs,
that to
but-
happen and actually giving those funds to the city where they can disperse it where it is needed.
That's the thing. If people actually look at this critically, in a way, critically, and go, stop spending money. We know all politicians, all governments are terrible at spending money. We all know this. This is aware, but there has to be a limit, because then they're going to ask for more aid and help. It's like, well, that's not helping the problem. You're just spending more money by getting aid. So, yeah, that was
perfect
dumb.
example. A perfect example. So at work, because I work for federal government, we have a hose bib every year that cracks and has to be replaced. So instead of paying the guy the more money to do it right and insulate it, every year they pay him to come back just to replace it.
Yeah.
What the fuck? Because he's not just replacing the hose, he's replacing the pipes that burst. Like,
No. No, it's the same when I was in the military doing avionics. Hey, guess what? They buy the bid is cheaper, or the cheapest bidder. Jesus Christ! And I'm having an after party after this. Fuck,
But they
I'm
actually
screwed.
had a much bigger budget.
Well,
But
but
they're
I'm saying,
still-
well, that's what I'm saying. They always go with the cheapest stuff. So every year something breaks or dies or fails on a system, you have to replace it. So you get to buy more. We literally came up with like this. There's a counter on this shit. After so many hours, that thing just is like, fuck it, and dies. Just so they have to buy more. Spend a little extra money once, and it'll last years longer.
it's like all these fucking weekend warriors. Oh, it's military grade. I'm like, oh, so it's garbage. Like, because literally, the
A lot of
cheapest
it,
bidder
yeah.
is obviously
Yeah.
not all, but
Yeah, a lot of it is, yes. All right, carrying on.
They've had 3.5 years to fix the border. They've had 3.5 years to create jobs and all the things we talked about. Why hasn't she done it? She should leave right now, go down to that beautiful White House, go to the Capitol, get everyone together and do the things you want to do, but you haven't done it and you won't do it because you believe in things that the American people don't believe in. You believe in things like we're not going to frack. We're not going to take fossil fuel. We're not going to do things that are going to make this country strong, whether you like it or not. Germany tried that, and within 1 year, they were back to building normal energy plants. We're not ready for it. We can't sacrifice our country for the sake of bad vision. But I just ask one simple question. Why didn't she do it? We're a failing nation. We're a nation that's in serious decline. We're being laughed at all over the world. All over the world, they're laughing. I know the leaders very well. They're coming to see me. They call me. We're laughed at all over the world. They don't understand what happened to us as a nation. We're not a leader. We don't have any idea what's going on. We have wars going on in the Middle East. We have wars going on with Russia and Ukraine. We're going to end up in a third world war, and it'll be a war like no other because of nuclear weapons, the power of weaponry. I rebuilt our entire military. She gave a lot of it away to the Taliban. She gave it to Afghanistan. What these people have done to our country, and maybe toughest of all, is allowing millions of people to come into our country. Many of them are criminals, and they're destroying our country. The worst president, the worst vice president in the history of our country.
President Trump, thank you.
Mic
And
drop.
that is our ABC News presidential debate from here in Philadelphia at the National Constitution Center. I'm Lindsay Davis.
And I'm David Muir. Thank you for watching here in the U.S.
But again, I'm still with Frank and you. There's still so many unanswered questions. They didn't. Neither one of them really answered a question the right way that I.
Oh, they were
saw
just
it.
bickering. They were just bickering.
But
as you
they're
go.
being
And
politics,
we are
politicians
here
and taking stabs at each other. Yeah.
But in a way, and everyone's going to disagree. That's why I'm not even going to watch the post thing because I mean, who gives a shit? They're always going to be like, "Well, come on, it looks strong." It's like she didn't answer shit. Trump raised the question: why haven't you done anything in 3.5 years, or had influence to suggest doing things that we know of?
Yeah.
So now, why are you going to do these things all of a sudden? I'm surprised he didn't bring up her stealing his policies of like, oh, she now supports the border wall. Oh, no tax on tips. She stole that straight from Trump. I mean, she stole that straight from him, you know. So this is kind of what I expected. I expected Trump to be a little stronger in pointing out her faults, but
Yeah.
she didn't do full word salad, but she did do the whole my family.
She stumbled
thing.
a couple times and told
Yeah,
her
she
her
did
life
the whole my
story,
family thing, yeah.
and then made that stupid fucking comment in the end. Like,
So I don't think that helped anyone with her.
that's honestly like from what I watched of this and what I listened to, I don't think either one of them swayed anybody to their side. It's still going to be the exact same people that are going to vote for him and vote for her.
Yeah,
Literally, this debate didn't even need to happen because the way this turned out.
she actually may have lost more the far left because of her Israel comments. So she actually
that's
kind of
possible.
maybe fucked herself a little bit even more in that realm, but that's probably about it.
Yeah. And again, people, we're not political analysts. We're just regular, everyday people, just like y'all. And you may not agree with us, and that's fine.
I'm fucking brilliant. You shut the fuck up.
That's only because Sam's brilliant. That's why you're fucking brilliant.
Well,
Anyway.
his brain is growing in the other room right now, doing college for his second master's. So
Jesus
while
Christ.
I'm over here talking to these degenerates,
Yeah.
and then doing an after party. Apparently,
Way to make us look like deadbeats, Sam.
Yeah, way to take my fucking college degree and go fuck you.
I'll do a couple degrees above you. Don't worry about it.
I got a high school diploma.
Started out. I'm sorry. What, Harley?
I said I got a high school diploma. That's all I got. So
Oh, hey, I mean, a lot of these college degrees anymore are just a bunch
when
of
you go for
opinionated papers that the
Can you go for a liberal arts degree? That always
Yeah.
gets me. Liberal arts? What
I
the
mean,
fuck? Yeah.
Yeah.
There's so many people who have gone on to a higher education, but not been able to use it successfully in a career and have to go back to doing jobs that didn't require a degree.
Well,
yeah,
there are
look at-
certain ones where you're going to have to get like a master's at least to do anything with it. So you start with the first one and you kind of like hope to get like an internship or something, get experience. Because there are certain things like I've tried to go to the University of Oregon to do a master's for my my field. And they're like, well, you have to have done like 2 years of this type of work in that field. I'm like, no one wants me because I don't have a master's degree. How the fuck, it's dumb shit like that. And I get when people say that stuff about school. I understand it completely.
Well, and I look at it this way, like if you're gonna go to school to be a lawyer, okay, you pass the bar. If you're even a halfway decent lawyer, you're gonna get a fucking job when you graduate. Same with a doctor, you're gonna get a job. If you go to plumbing school, a trade school, you go get trained and you're gonna have a job as a plumber, or trade, shit like that. But there's again the liberal arts shit, and trade schools is what I push because those are the people that run America. If we didn't have plumbers and electricians and HVAC and all this and construction workers, we wouldn't fucking exist.
Liberal arts or arts degrees or drama degrees or whatever the fuck these things.
And if you want to go to do Juilliard, whatever, for dancing or acting, well, okay, that's fine. Maybe you'll be a big huge actor one day and stuff. That's fine. But there's a lot
don't complain about it if it doesn't work out in 5 years or something. And you owe $100,000. Don't complain about
exactly.
it. That was a choice you made, a risk that you took. Kind of thing. I don't complain about not using my degree. It's like, well, until I get a master's, maybe one day, probably not, because I drink a lot and I could give 2 fucks. And Sam's gonna be my my cash cow. So
sugar daddy, yeah.
Sam's probably in the other room going, I heard that.
Yeah. Well, I don't complain about not using my degree, so.
Well, yeah, obviously. You're preschool art
but
for you.
So I'm a little bit of I'm not bragging or anything like this. So I have a high school graduate. I did a couple college courses. That was it. I have a job that pays over $40 an hour.
Yeah.
And they're out there, people, and if you work hard, but again, I'm pushing trade schools. Trade schools are fucking great, And that's the other thing too, is I grew up with a dad, like we would fix our own pipes and like I can fix damn near anything. I'm a former mechanic, like I'm a handy dude. Okay. But I didn't go to any schools for it, but I can still fix it. And a lot of people these days,
I'll meet you in there.
They it's like, oh, I got a flat tire. Okay, so change it. Well, how do I do that?
Yeah, oh yeah, I met many people like that. And trust me, I'm saying I had a high school degree. I went in the military. I took a couple college courses, like just got through a couple basic ones, didn't finish, got out, and I was making over $30 an hour at the job that I left voluntarily. I was like, you know what, I'm done with this after 11.5 years. Then I got hired. I was offered by another oil company for 28 up front, and I turned it down to take less pay for a more relaxed life.
Wow.
And my degree had nothing to do with that. It's about experience. Get out there, take the opportunity, learn something, work hard, and you can make money. Now there are jobs that require certifications and all this shit. Of course, there are jobs like that. I had a lot of those where I was like, well, I don't have that, so I'm not even going to waste their time. I don't have that. That's understandable, but you can find fucking good paying jobs if you fucking look and have experience, and you just got to get in there.
Well, and I'll tell you, one of the highest paying jobs in the world, I shouldn't say that, but one of the highest blue collar paying jobs is welders. Welders, especially underwater welders.
Oh yeah, underwater welders are fucking insane. Those people are fucking crazy.
So much money, but they are crazy, and it is dangerous.
It's so funny he brings that up, and he didn't watch last night's show.
I know. I was like, we talked about that last night, and I'm like, yeah, those people are insane.
That's funny. Yeah, well, because I can weld. I'm not a master welder, but from being a mechanic, we used to weld shit all the time. It's been a couple of years, but I can weld, and so maybe someday if this ever falls through, I'll pursue that. Who knows?
I have to clarify. It's underwater welding. So for the chat and anyone who manages somehow to get to this point of this video later on, not underwater basket weaving.
I was thinking that. Welding. God damn it. You're the only other person besides my parents I've ever heard say that. Because that's what they would call the dumb classes. Oh, you're taking underwater basket weaving. That's fucking hilarious.
Yeah. there are opportunities out there. I mean, it takes a while. I mean, goddamn. Again, I've said it.
Well,
a
and
couple
you got to
times.
grind to get there. Yeah.
Well, and after 11.5 years in the oil field, in my job, my position and stuff, it took 1.5 years to fucking find work again. Bidenomics. Creating so many jobs apparently, and energy independent. Yeah, okay, fuckers. You know, but I turned it down because I was like, you know what? I'll take the lesser pay for a more relaxed lifestyle to a degree.
Plus, you got to go to fucking London or England or wherever. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Oh, also to note, I'll just, I mean, fuck it, we're just here bullshitting, whatever. I don't give a shit at this point. No one's watching this shit. I'm one of the
got
viewers.
5 people.
I think.
Me too.
I'm one of the
So,
viewers.
we got
I think
3
I'm one of the
people.
viewers. I guess I can close this now. I'm one of the viewers because I was making sure we didn't get kicked off air. Let's see.
What's up, Shaq? Go to the after party.
September 30th, there will be no Monday night stream.
Oh, good.
Why? Why is that good?
Oh, because it's my granddaughter's birthday.
You didn't even remember September 11th is tomorrow. How do you remember your granddaughter's birthday?
No, I have a hard time knowing what day it is.
And then I said
Right,
it's
she
tomorrow. How dare you forget that? And she's like, I didn't know today was September 11th. I'm like, tomorrow, you drunk.
I can't keep up with the dates. They just
I know.
They all blur together.
I'm fucking terrible.
That
That's
being
why
said-
I suggest me and Sam get married on our anniversary date, so I don't have to remember 2 different dates.
That's the way my in-laws did it. They got married on the 4th of July. So they're like, everybody celebrates our anniversary. But to piggyback off what Ben was saying, so I will have my live this Friday, but the Friday after I will not.
I want to know why Ben's not going live Monday the 30th.
I will be in. I'll be in I'll be in Paris. I have been officially hired to guide
Subtle flex.
the YouTubers.
Okay. Yeah, you were saying they reached out to you a while back, right? Or not that long
Yeah,
ago.
they had, and I responded and I said, yeah, you got to fly me over there. That's the deal. And it took a couple of days, and he got back to me today. He's like, hey, sorry, we were traveling. We're over here now filming again. But so flight, Airbnb, and fee. And I'm like, yeah. And then I asked details, and he's like, you know what? We actually will have room in our Airbnb. You can just stay with us if you want. It's only a few nights. So
all
I
that
mean,
shit
even
they're
a
gonna throw in a
couch,
hand job too?
I don't know. It's even maybe. It's only a few nights. I mean, literally. But I'm like, okay. But then he's like asking the rate, the fee, like to pay me monetarily. And we went over some details. And I'm like, okay, let me talk to Sam. And we talked about it. But yeah, no, it seems on. So I'll be probably flying over there to do
tell them
2 videos with them on the catacombs.
Sweet.
You should tell them that they actually need to pay for your bodyguard Harley Dad to fly out too. He won't go in the catacombs, but he'll protect you when you're on the street.
We did try to bump it a week because Sam's off the next week for work but they have a little bit of a timeline on one of the videos with a buddy of theirs. He has a very strict timeline. So I was like, so you want to do that and then do this one? And he's like, yes. I was like, okay, I can make that work. There's some fine details to work out and stuff like that. Today was very just it's done. Like it's gonna happen. So I'm like, okay. Not necessarily the way, don't think of it as a big promotion thing or something like that. But I mean, regardless, it's gonna happen. So there's some financial gain. So I was like, fuck it. Yeah, I got my work wants me to take vacation because I have days. And they're like, keep asking every week, like, hey, do you have days set? I'm like, all right, fine. I'll fucking use some. Jesus Christ.
That's so cool. That is so cool.
So that will be happening. So that day I will be off, which also means I'll cancel the Sunday night show. Well, not cancel it for the other football show. I'll let the other guy, Jackson, run it. And that week we'll just not have a midweek show. And hopefully I'll be back that Friday night because that night is Michigan State, I believe.
Ooh.
That Friday night. And then that Saturday we're at Caesar concert.
Oh, sweet.
I already bought tickets. So it actually lines up perfectly. So I'm like, yeah. Fuck off, James. Fuck off, James. You didn't even come
Well,
on.
I was. It's funny. Well, James was doing his own live of it, and that's what I
know.
was gonna say.
No, last night he didn't.
I was
come
gonna
on my
ask
show.
if y'all could, before you come over to Ben's after party, can y'all go over to James and like his fucking video? Because
Fuck
he
James.
did
Fuck,
the debate
fuck,
too. And
fuck James.
listen, I
No.
love James to death, and I popped over there to hit the like, and I was literally the only one that's liked it so far.
I will.
So y'all pop over there, show him some love. I put it in
will.
the chat for y'all.
I will. I didn't have a chance because obviously I was rushing to
Yeah,
cook dinner. I
You're
will.
busy. Yeah.
I got it.
Harley,
I got you, James.
Yes, ma'am.
I got you.
do you got
Time for bladder scan?
contacts in or something?
Wait,
Why? What's up with your blinking?
It's windy.
Oh, is that it? Is
Yeah.
it smoky? Because
No, it's not smoky.
you're doing these weird long blinks. Yeah.
Well,
like-
I had an hour and a half of sleep last night, so
oh,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah. This
sorry.
should, every night for me is like 4.5 hours at max, and then every morning I'm hitting
that's
the
usually
alarm.
what I get, and I'm fine. But
Yeah, Sam is like kicking me out of bed, like shut the fucking alarm off, bitch. Like last night he was like, stop screaming, get to bed. He texted me literally as he was sleeping because me and Mando were. I was yelling at Mando like, shut the fuck
no,
up.
I've gotten those texts before. Believe me.
Yeah, I got you, James. Don't worry, I went over there right now. God, I
So
can't
you're
wait
gonna
to eat.
end this stream and start up another?
Oh, it's already posted.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I did in the I have it in the
We're
backstage.
getting 22 minutes. What the fuck, bro?
Well, I
I
can
don't see
I
any
can make
chat
it
in the
15, but I
backstage.
gotta have a piece of pizza. I haven't eaten. Sam
You're
ate
gonna
all
get
the
me in
fucking-
trouble though.
Sam ate all the buffalo wings, and now he didn't touch the pizza. Now I was reheating, and now I gotta eat the pizza.
That's funny. We had pizza buffalo wings tonight too. But you're gonna get me in trouble because it's gonna take you too long to go on. So I'm gonna go over to Gutters, and I love Gutters to death. But she sent me the link, and I was like, I ain't going on your fucking debate stream, Gutters. I fucking love you, but it's not happening.
This was very just straightforward. There should have been some more commentary, but I was like also trying to listen a little bit. But after a while, you also kind of start getting a little like, okay.
Yeah.
Well, and I mean, if you make comments, you have two choices. You either pause it, and then it takes forever to get through it, or you let it play and you miss something while you're talking. You know. And
Exactly. That's why I was kind of trying to find a fine line in the middle of it to be like, okay, finally, yeah, okay, we got to pause this. This is bullshit.
Yeah.
Whatever. All right. Well, I'm gonna go eat a couple pieces of pizza because that'll be my dinner, and Sam didn't touch it. And have a couple cigarettes, and then I'll
What type of
maybe
pizza?
see all. It was ultimate pepperoni, and then I added more pepperoni and olives to it, black olives.
Ooh, hell yeah!
So it's basically a supreme pepperoni with black olives.
Hell
It's
yeah.
only a supreme if you add green onions and onions.
Well, okay, it's a supreme pepperoni. As
Come
I
on,
said, like
you
mean
know Ben just likes
pepperoni
the meats,
only.
Frankity.
Yeah, I always add extra meats.
All right, we go get out of here, get your dinner, and we'll see you in a little bit.
Don't clip.
Somebody
that.
clip that, please. Somebody
Don't
please
clip
fucking clip
that.
that.
All right, I'll
I
see
will
you.
figure out how
I'll
to.
see most of you. A bunch of you sometimes at the after party, and then we'll
Yeah, you'll see
yeah.
all four of us at the after party.
Yeah.
Because everybody's got a debate stream tonight. So
Fuck
right.
off.
go get
All
some
right.
food, buddy. We'll see you in a bit.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye, guys. See you soon.